just want to know when you put start and mine stop.
What do we like?
Thank you.
Bio.
I know, thank you.
Bio.
I do give you credit for that.
All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. I've asked Mr. Radcliffe to lead us in the prayer and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. We thank you, Lord, for your blessings, your mercies. Lord, we pray for wisdom and guidance for the meeting tonight, Lord, for mayor and councilors. Lord, help them to make the right decisions. Would you guide their footsteps, Lord, and direct their ways, Lord, for the betterment of our city, the surrounding area, Lord. We love you. We praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A roll call.
Terry Lamar,
Here.
Toya Shropshire,
Here.
Dennis Nance,
Here.
Travis Malure,
Here.
Randy Chitwood,
Here.
Charles Trammell,
Here.
Chris Gantier,
Here.
Bruce Smith.
Here.
Okay. We have one petition from the audience, and that's Mr. Don Spencer. You'll come up to the microphone and limit your words to 5 minutes.
Is this good enough right here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate this time and this opportunity. I'm Don Spencer. I'm the president of the Oklahoma Second Amendment Association. You may wonder why we would have an interest in this, and it's not because we're not just a gun organization, but we're a liberty organization, and we look to protect the whole Constitution, but we know it may take guns to do so. I don't see that this is an issue that's going to require that, so I'd like to put you at ease for that for sure. But when it comes to cameras and locations where these are going and what they're being used for, if you remember back in the 1980s, and I know some of you can remember that, we had required parents to put children in car seats, which is a great idea. That's exactly what we want our children protected. But as it turns out now today, even a combat veteran who has served this country will be fined money if they don't have a seatbelt on in a car. These slopes move and move and move into dangerous territories to take away our rights that should not be affected by government like it does. And so I would ask you to take into deep consideration putting cameras up, even though we want law enforcement to be able to use and have every tool possible. Look where this could possibly go and lead to. This could eventually turn into, you don't have your brake light's not working right. We're going to just mail you a check or mail you a fine. The Fifth Amendment requires due process, and this is what we're concerned about where this could go to. In fact, we're so concerned about it. Today I met with a state senator. We are looking to legislation to actually help preempt this so you don't even have to make this decision. That's how serious we are about this. So we would like you to strongly consider not adopting any types of cameras for what has been prescribed at this moment to do so for now and in the future. Because again, we're just concerned about our rights and where they can go to and where this will lead to. And like I say, and right now, when you've got the federal government that's looking down any way possible to take away our rights, you can see our concern how simple as a camera up, keeping an eye on what we are doing or not doing can be a problem. So I want to thank you for this time and this opportunity. Thank you now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3, department head reports.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, real quick before we move to that, could I point out one? We have a distinguished visitor in the room tonight, if I may.
Sure.
Gentleman in the green shirt is Mr. Wayne Hill. He is the vice chairman of the Oklahoma Republican Party.
Okay.
He is joining us tonight as well. I just wanted to point out Mr. Hill's.
Welcome, Mr. Hill. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, item 3, department head reports. Building inspector.
Good evening, you guys. How are you all? Last month we had a total of 54 paid inspections, and then I did an additional 62 that were unpaid inspections. So unpaid is when I meet with Cody or James or Brett or contractors with Mug out on job sites to see about putting meters and everything. Also, like today, I was out at the animal shelter. Randy Gibbs repaired the fire line and did an inspection out there. So things like that, it's not considered paid inspections, but we do stay pretty busy. Been busy with people coming in about additions or outbuildings they want to build on their property. Also a lot of questions about codes and stuff. Also look up stuff, help Trent, look up things. And then of course, we'll receive calls about contractors in town that don't have license, like roofers or tree. I go out and investigate and sometimes have to call Trent to come help me on those things. Y'all have any questions for me? Well, if you do, give me a call or stop in.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jensen, Emergency Management.
Well, we've been working on the cleanup from, all the paperwork from the cleanup from the storms from last month. Everything has been sent to the president right now to see if he's going to approve the declaration. Pretty much, I think there was 10 counties, including Mays and the city of Pryor, that were asked to participate in that. And we was way over our requirement. We have a certain threshold each community has to meet. We was way over it. MUB went way over just by themselves, not counting what we had here as a city. And how this is gonna work is our main money that we're gonna get reimbursed is gonna be based on the debris that was picked up. We get paid $23 a cubic yard for each cubic yard of debris that's picked up. It has to be piled up. We've got a couple of burn sites that are set up. That has to be done within 90 days. But once that's done, FEMA will come in, look at our pile, and then figure what they owe us on that, and then they'll start reimbursing. Anybody have any questions about that?
Thank you.
How about the weather tonight?
It'll probably be more like tomorrow morning,
Okay.
early, like 5, 6 o'clock. It could fizzle out before it gets here. We'll just have to wait and see.
Okey-doke, thank you.
If it gets bad, I'll send it out. All right. Chief Young.
We made it through the 4th, so hey, we got through that holiday weekend or whatever. We did all right. The guys didn't run too crazy, and everybody was safe with their fireworks and stuff, so we had a good time there. Our new fire truck we should be seeing it here in the next week or two. It should be here, so we'll start training on it and get it into service as quick as we can. So we're excited about that. And Johnny didn't say anything, but we're getting our FEMA reimbursement for our hurricanes for when we sent task force out. So they're sending us some money back for that. Johnny and Mike spoil us. They don't always let you all know, but they help us out a lot on that paperwork. They're kind of like the ladies at City Hall. They baby us from time to time, but we get to go play and they help us with the paperwork. So there's a lot of good work and stuff like that. And Johnny and them, they don't always get the word out that they've done a lot for that reimbursement stuff that we get.
And that's true. He asked me when we started this, you want to do the paperwork? I said, no, you can do it.
Yeah.
So-
No, and him and Mike, you gotta give them credit for that. They've learned it and, they help us out a lot. Like I said, they're kinda like the ladies up here at City Hall. They baby us from time to time, but they're a great hand, so we appreciate all we get. Y'all have anything for me?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowman, Pryor Creek Golf Club.
Good evening. We've had a lot of wind damage when we get a sign from emergency management to put up a post out there. So, the golf course, Wednesday, we got a storm out there, a lot of trees down, and we had to shut the course down for a little while, get it cleaned up, then turn around like deja vu and hit us on Saturday morning, or Saturday night, yeah. So anyway, we got it all cleaned up where it's playable, and we got a lot of brush piles, so hopefully we'll be able to get to deal with those at a later date and get them all burned up. But we have the Lions Night Golf Tournament coming up shortly. So, the Lions Club does a tremendous job. They raise a lot of good money. They really help a lot of people with their eyesight and some other things in the community. So it's not just about eyeglasses. It's about a lot of good things. So that tournament will be in a couple weeks, and we've got a couple spots left. If you know of anybody who wants to play, it's a night tournament. It's a lot of fun. Play 9 holes in the daylight. We feed them, then we play 9 holes in the dark with glow balls, and they look like little missiles going through the air when you hit them. It's a lot of fun for people. It's something different. We also will be having the Oklahoma Freedom Flight Tournament. I'll make sure everybody gets some of these in their box. So please do what you can do to pass this on to any family, friends, get a team in it. It'd be great to have a whole council team in there, you know? We could, but anyway, it goes for a great cause. One of interesting story I found out yesterday, one of the workers that works for us out at the golf course is a veteran, and he said that he had applied, and he may be able to get to go next year. So we may be able to help one of our own people go, so that's really neat.
And that tournament has a cool opportunity on it, does it not?
Yes, yeah, you have a chance to win a brand-new car, right? Or truck, I can't remember which one it is, car or truck, so that's really a neat deal. It's about time for us to give one away. We've went a lot of years without ever doing it out there, so.
Hey, just for the record, we're not giving it away.
Yeah. No.
There's insurance
Yeah,
programs
insurance
on that that
program.
take care of that. We are not
Exactly.
doing, that's
Yeah.
not us.
From a great sponsor, so, but the golf course, you know, finished the year on record pace, so, can't wait to see those numbers come out officially, and, so it's been very good. And, you know, things, just like Sunday, we had people commenting about the 4th of July celebration out here with the fireworks. They were talking about that at the golf course, so that's great to see those kind of things. You know, people really are proud to attend those things. They were just tickled to death to bring their kids out there, and then they're talking about it at the golf course the next day. So I thought that was an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? All right. Come see us, like us on Facebook, help us spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Raritt, Pryor Creek Library.
You don't want me to get out of order.
We are winding down our summer reading program. I am proud to tell you we have more than 530 people signed up for our game sheets that we do for summer reading, which is the largest number that I can remember. And I've been here almost 8 years. So we're super excited about that. It's for sure almost twice what we had in 2019, which is kind of our base for what we compare, because that's before the pandemic and before our construction started. You have our fiscal year comparisons in front of you. It looks a little different from our normal monthly things, but I'm really, really proud of these numbers. It is important to note that we broke ground for construction in September of 2021, and so there was chaos and pandemonium with construction in the 21-22 fiscal year, but there was also plenty of chaos and pandemonium in the 22-23 year. So I'm still super proud of all of these numbers. Our June numbers look great. If you want to help these numbers, I encourage you to come to some programming or send your children. This week on Thursday, we are going to have a musician play in our museum. Jerome Campbell, who's a relatively well-known guitarist and singer who's based in Pryor, has a couple of albums, is going to play in the museum. He may be joined by some other local musicians as well. We'll just see who shows up. Next week, if you were not lucky enough to score tickets to Dancing with the Pryor Stars, you can come paint tiny canvases with us. They're like 3x3 little canvases. So those are our grown-up programs. Next week for kids, they're going to make Book Nook little diorama scenes with our craft supplies. The babies will play with Play-Doh at story time, and then the teens will do a scavenger hunt. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Carrie, the numbers look really good.
Thanks.
Really good, thank you. Mr. Powell. No, Jeremy, you gotta wait your turn, bud. Jeremy, you're next. Okay. Mr. Powell.
I just like most other departments, you know, spend quite a few days there with storm damage. Luckily, we didn't lose any. We had a lot of damage between the park and cemetery, but no major trees or anything. But anyway, so getting behind on that, getting caught up on the mowing. We got the pickleball courts are installed and up and usable. And we'd had some issues with the splash pad activator, and so it's all fixed, got it done. So other than that, we're just kind of still getting caught up from storms, still actually, you know, some little small debris and just trying to get mowed out, back mowed out. That's about it.
The area out there where you had the fireworks and everything sure looked good.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the cemetery boys did a great, men, boys, whatever. They did a good job cleaning that area up, so yes, appreciate that.
I have a couple of quick questions. The trees that fell down during that one windstorm in the cemetery, was there any damage done to those stones on Fairview or Graham side?
No, I missed.
Luckily.
We have had some break vases before. I think there's a tree or two out there where it was enough damage, we're going to have to take the tree out, but we just, some kind of Bradford pears, but no damage.
And then moving on to parks and out west, how's the Little League baseball fields doing this summer? And do they have a big crowd out there playing baseball? And is there any major maintenance problems that's come up out there or needs to be improved on for the future?
A lot of that, I can't tell you that everything. I know, I take it as almost like no news is good news. I haven't hardly heard from any of them, so I'm assuming everything went well. A lot of them are doing some of their own maintenance now. They got new presidents over, especially the girls softball, and so a lot of them helped us out because they're doing their own stuff now. But church fields, like I said, got some just light poles got knocked down with that storm. But other than that, I can't really tell. No one's called about any issues.
Do they provide their own equipment for mowing and everything, or do they use city equipment?
We mow. I mean, I got a guy that does strictly mows that and Bobby Buck. It seems like depending on who's the president, it changes sometimes year after year. We mow all the outside perimeters, everything, and we used to mow the outfields of the ball fields. We stay off the end. Of course, most of the infields are dirt. Depending who takes over and if they've done certain grass and blah, 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 sometimes they come back and have us stay off of that grass. Or the decks we use are the front decks. If they've asked us to mow at a certain height, which we just do the same height all the time because it's a pain to raise them decks and stuff. So other than that, but it still takes most all week, between that and Bobby Buck to get it done. Church fields, we do all of theirs. And but most of the Little League fields and the church fields, when they do it themselves, they have their own mower. But they've came to us for maybe some broke down and we went ahead and mowed it for them, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, and my last question is pertaining to Bobby Buck Park, and especially since we're in the new budget year coming up, is there any plans for restrooms? No?
No,
Okay, thank you.
we did get the creek sweetie, didn't we?
Cool.
I've got one question for you. Is it pickleball season yet?
Hey, it's a year-round season.
Well, have you had anybody there since you've changed the court?
The other day, they had a bunch of people there playing, but it goes in spurts. I think most of it happens in the evenings.
Okay.
But like I said, once February gets here, with the kit I bought, they'll come out and the tennis nets will go back up. Then it'll be strictly tennis till tennis is over.
Well, it's probably not a fair question, though, since school's involved, but the pickleball probably doesn't use as much as the tennis then, do they?
Well, tennis, I can't say that. We just put them up. There's 2 courts. But tennis isn't used. That's why we done them, because that still leaves 6 tennis courts. I mean, you might see 1 or 2 being used every now and then. So away from tennis season and some tennis camps, I don't see a lot of people play tennis.
Okay.
But I think a lot of them go in the evenings, because that's when I get calls about the lights and, timers are usually off or something. So I know they play, but,
Thank you. Jeremy Cantrell, Chief Police, Animal Shelter, it's your turn now.
So the last couple of weeks have been busy for the officers, as you can see from the call logs and stuff, stats. Traffic stops are 291, with 5 stolen vehicles, arrests. They made 29 arrests and 61 citations in a 2-week period. A couple notable events since the last department head meeting. On the 12th of June, there was a murder suspect from Bixby that came into town. He had murdered his soon-to-be ex-wife over at a park in Bixby. Come into Pryor, to one of the rehab houses. They knew he was over here. They located him. There was a pursuit involved that crashed out by Cemetery Hill, then a foot pursuit. Captain Trammell was actually the one that caught him over there by the baseball field. Took him into custody, you know, in a matter of 24 hours. You know, he was in custody for the murder.
Yeah.
The officers went to bike training in Norman on the 14th, so they completed bike training. Their first event was out here at Freedom Fest. They said it was a hit. People loved it. You know, talked about, you know, the community involvement. Out there on the 16th of June, there was a shooting on South Whitaker Street. A male shot a female in the stomach. They life flighted her to Tulsa. She made full recovery. They booked him into jail on charge of shooting with intent to kill. And then there was a couple vehicle pursuits. One with a known burglar that we've dealt with a bunch. The officer drove off to the field, caught the suspect. There was some damage to the vehicle. We're getting repaired. On the 22nd, all the officers went to the range, qualified with their pistol, rifles, and shotguns. It's something that I pushed. You know, when I took over, instead of once a year, I want to do it twice a year. You know, just the more you practice, it's a skill. The more you do it, the better you'll be at it, and it's something that we need to use. Some of them officers, one hadn't shot a shotgun in 19 years. So it's something that I'm going to push every 6 months. We're going to be shooting. So that's where our ammo budget will go up a little bit, but it's a necessary evil that we got to have. Then on the 26th was a big one. We had the threats made towards City Hall, made towards the police. I got in on it and I started hearing about it. Me and Mayor Doyle talked and made the decision that we better start locking some city buildings down. We didn't know who the suspect was. I felt strongly that it was a legit threat to the safety of our citizens, our employees, and so did Mayor Doyle. Come to find out, we ended up working through this throughout the day. We caught the suspect in Shoto, got him under arrest, and then we did a search warrant on the apartment where we recovered 600 plus rounds of ammo, the Kevlar vest, tactical gear, pistol, Kevlar helmet, comms. I mean, it was legit. It was a legit threat that, you know, we needed to take serious. So that's something that we're going to work on in the future as far as getting that across. You know, if there is a threat towards whether it be city council, whether it be city employees, how we're going to handle that, you know, to make sure everybody gets aware. So we're going to work on that. I just got back from vacation, but we're going to sit down and start talking through this to get everybody on board on it. And then, like I said, the Freedom Fest went off really good. I heard nothing but pros about it. The new police department, he's got a punch list that we're going to talk about real quick on the new police department. I met with Mayor Doyle over there with Brenna from CNS. She was really nice to work with, really good. And, I mean, it was a good walkthrough with her.
So Mayor Doyle's aware of some of this because he was over there, like Chief said. Some of that we're still dealing with the leaking roof. Every time it rains, it leaks. We're not sure where it's originating from. You can hear it dripping at different areas. That's causing significant damage to a lot of the ceiling tiles. So when you come through, especially in the lobby, in the foyer area, we have a lot of damaged tiles through there because of the leaking.
And on the roof, so he wasn't there that day, but we talked to her about that. She's going to bring an independent person in to do a inspection of that roof, and if it needs replaced, they're going to replace it. So we talked about some issues that we're having up there. She was in agreement that we're going to have to do something. So they are, CMS Holbrook's going to have an independent company come in, not the same roofing company that's been trying to repair it, come in and look at it. And just so you know, I was very clear with her that if the independent contractor comes in, inspector comes in and finds issues, that I want the roof taken care of under the warranty, even if that means replacing the whole thing. So she understands where we stand on that, and that we're going to take it very seriously. So that's being handled right now.
Good. All right. So there was several issues, but a couple, going through here. Rooms 163, 164, they're going to have to come in. They still need to adjust the heating and cooling the vents in there. They don't cool and heat correctly. Again, at 164, the glass in the door, for some reason, it sounds like it's about to fall out because it's rattling. We've got another room, the storage room door, room 188. It does not close properly. It's an equipment room, but you can't secure it. They've tried to adjust it once, but short of slamming it and moving the wall, it will not secure. So the exterior Sally Port entrance and exit door is still not working correctly. They've come out where we can at least use the open path or secure access from the exterior. Interior is just a push out as of right now. They said it's a voltage issue. They're supposed to be working on it. But it is still, at this point, it's still not where it should be, so. There's a broken curb on the southeast corner of the parking lot. I showed that to the mayor. It's been there since almost the completion of the project. IT storage closets, IT closets, excuse me, and the storage closet. The fire suppression sprinkler heads need to be dropped down into place along with the ceiling tile. So they come in and put the drop ceiling in, but they have not come back over to actually secure the tile and put in the sprinkler head in those locations. So we've got those or those mini splits, excuse me, ACs that are in each one of those, and they just run constant because there's no way to actually, get that where it just cools and stays at a constant temperature.
You're heating the attic, or cooling
Yeah.
the attic space.
So main entrance walls, AC vents need reworked, the paint and drywall on those, if you come in and look, I mean, there was just, for better lack of word, it just wasn't done correctly. You can look around the AC vents where it's cracked. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done there, so. One of these I marked on here, HVAC needs sensors for dispatch, and I think this falls back on not on the engineer, excuse me, but on Graber and Associates. When they designed this, they didn't put that in correctly. The controls are in the communications area, but most of the air is generated out in the hallway. So if it's 65 degrees in the hallway, it's about 75, 77 degrees in the calm area. If you get it cool in there, then it's an ice box out there, vice versa in the winter. Heater control locking cover for the men's bathroom, they didn't put that on correctly, so that's busted. Doesn't sound like a major thing, but it's in the general public area, so they can come in and just adjust that at random. There's a desktop in the squad room that's cracked. According to our patrol officers, that happened when one of the contractors was in, I guess during the leaking roofs trying to repair that, and they was walking around on it. So we have about a 6 to 8 inch crack in one of the desktops. And the north countertop in the training room needs to be resurfaced. I don't know what they've gotten on it. Again, I showed this to the mayor, and if you've been over and looked at it, it's not a professional job at all. Whatever they've gotten on there, the other needs to be cleaned off, or if they can resurface it. But
And we walked through with them, and she made notes, and there was 2 of them there, for CMS Full Road, and they walked through making notes. I'm gonna reach back out to them to see where we're at on it, kind of stay on top of them. I did notice the big leak in the lobby. The last time it rained real hard, it didn't leak there, but you could hear it drip. So it's still leaking somewhere, just not coming out right there.
And the only other, if I did not mention, was just the detention area. We're still waiting on detention doors and things, so 'cause we're still non-compliant there, so it's still out of service. They told us the last would be a couple of weeks, but I think we've passed that now, but.
And are we gonna have to eat the cost of the new doors versus the old doors? Or are they paying for the whole thing?
No, I believe, according to the meeting here at the council chambers, it's been several months ago, I think there was gonna be a difference in cost of a few $1,000s, but I don't have those numbers. I'd have to talk to Brenna.
She was gonna get back with me on that door. She was gonna check into that.
So we're actually spending more time repairing it than we did building it. Other than that, it's a really good building now.
We're excited to be inside the building. Like I said, it's just unfortunately the taxpayers, I don't believe, are getting what they paid for on some of the areas, so.
And Captain Treadle's very thorough on that, so that's why I kind of tasked him with going through.
And just so everybody's aware, I was very thorough with her on the expectation that those things will be fixed.
And that was what, last week?
And
With her?
yes, and so she was very grateful for the communication. I'm confident that after that meeting, in a respectable amount of time, these things will be addressed.
Yes, it was a very good meeting.
A lot of them won't be addressed until the roof is addressed, and so once that's done, and that'll be when that third-party inspector can get in and do those, but they are aware that this list exists and I'm on it, so.
Mayor DeWell?
Yes.
I know that everything was worse over on the PD side more than the fire department side probably, but what about the fire department side and their punch list in the library? Have y'all had a meeting, gone over it to thorough like Captain Trammell did?
Not that
Or is there a
thoroughly,
plan
no.
for that yet?
No.
Okay,
First and foremost right now is get that roof fixed.
okay.
That's gonna be expensive if it's not taken care of, so.
One more question, we discussed it once, do you think a mold problem in there we have to look
I
at?
did talk to her about that, and the insulation, the way that building was built, so you've got a metal lining, then insulation, and then the decking and the shingles on top of it. So if there is issue with insulation, it's gonna be a way up in the decking, so it's not gonna be down getting in the building. She said there's very little insulation inside, it's just those tiles. But they will check all that out. I did bring it up, so if the roof has to be replaced, that's gonna be one thing.
Sure.
All that insulation will come out, because I'm sure it's soaked, but it's not affecting us inside the building.
So we can, in our next council meeting, have a little more in-depth review on that, so.
Okay. Move to the animal shelter.
All right, so, and hitting on the
Do
animals,
y'all have anything on the police side before we switch over?
yeah, we don't want to jump ahead.
Animal shelter.
Yeah, we'll try to make this quick. So I spoke with our animal control supervisor. They had a adoption event over the last week because they got a $500 donation from Solid Rock Realty. That resulted in adoption of 15 animals. So that brings us down to approximately 35 canines and 40 cats that are currently out at the shelter. So we're doing better there. And I'll hit on we've also, in the last about 2 weeks or a little less, it was after the last council meeting, we developed a leak in ground. It was around our fire suppression system. I contacted one of our plumbers to come out and look at it. Actually, I had BK and Balmer come out with me first to try to figure out where it could be originating from, shutting off the riser, shutting off the water to it so we could look. It was generating from in-ground. We got with Randy Gibbs. He come out, contacted American Leak Detectors. They showed that the leak was just on the exterior of the building. He began the dig, but once he started the dig, and it's about 4 foot down, trying to work around, once all the lines were marked, they're 4 foot in the ground, finding the water main to it or line. It was actually 3 or 4 feet inside the building, so they had to contact another contractor to come out and cut the flooring. Once that was done, they was able to actually get in there today after they got it dug out, and that had to be done by hand. I took photos. They dug again down 4 feet, but there's other lines running across top of it, electrical things, so it had to be done by hand. They've got that repaired, at least they believe so. They're gonna come back in the morning, turn the water back on, and if it is, then they'll start backfilling that and get it prepared for concrete. But they did find, once they pulled it out, there was a significant hole in one of the lines. He was surprised we didn't have more damage than what we had at the time, so.
Just a heads up, because that was after the last council meeting, that did qualify as an emergency repair. That's why it's not on here. So I went ahead and told them to start that, so we didn't have.
And it basically shuts our sprinkler system down, so we're gonna do fire watch out there every hour, per code, so it was.
Yes, we've had them patrols rotated in and out of the building once an hour since it's been shut down when there's no one present at the facility. So anytime about after 7 o'clock during the week, and I believe it's 5 o'clock during the weekends. So it's been active out there, just making sure everything's all right.
Any questions?
Thank you, guys. Mr. Moore, recreational.
Good evening. All right. Got a few things going on. Top of the list is the HVAC. Of course, that seems to be it every week. We did get one of the 2 units done in the Boys and Girls Club, from the last meeting. That was a priority and all, and so I got that in, got that going. So 3 of the 4 units are running now, and so it's tolerable in there. We still, as was discussed at the last meeting, about us purchasing a portable unit, and that is in the works. So we're thinking we're going to get that next week sometime. So we'll keep the pressure on there. And then there's some other maintenance getting ready to happen with filter systems and that kind of thing. Been talking to them about getting a schedule for that, and they have one. I just don't have it myself, but I will stay on them until I get that, just so I can follow along. Moving on to aquatics. Last month we hosted 14 pool parties and 1 public pool parties and 1 private. Had group swim lessons Monday, Tuesday for 3 weeks. We had 14 in the class. Wednesday night swim lessons. We had 6 kids in the class. Private lessons, we're up to 42 students throughout the month that were enrolled in that. We're working on for the school year, start probably right after the first of the year, just because of timing. We're trying to write a grant for that to help fund it, but we're going to look at trying to fill the gap on the after-school program. The public schools have it's a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, so we're thinking we can bridge a gap in there on Wednesday. We know that there's various reasons for them skipping Wednesday, but we feel like there's probably some need there that we can fill. And so we'll do some swim class, part instructional, part fun time kind of a thing. So Jackie Moyers is our aquatics coordinator, along with our new assistant director, are working on that. So we're looking at starting that in January. Fitness side of things, you know, Jess Rieger's the new director there, coordinator, moving over from assistant director. She's doing an excellent job evaluating our attendance. Our average attendance is going up little by little. She's made some changes, trying to adjust and adapt. She's spending some time observing classes and talking to the instructors and the participants as well. So I'm really encouraged on what's going on in that area long term. We had 165 new members last month, 80.95 retention, so the retention dropped a little bit, but it's been in the 80s, at least since I've been around and gone. I know it's been good. We had 80 Cherokee citizens sign up for that program since the 12th. We got that kicked off finally on the 12th of June, so we're off and running there. We met with Special Olympics, just trying to, again, kind of foster some relationships. Met with Leslie Burnett a little bit, and so come this fall, we're gonna, on 1 or 2 Saturdays a month, have a time frame so those kids can come in. They've got some activities that they'll run, but we can provide the facility and the opportunity for them to do a little bit more than they've been doing. So we're excited about that. And then kind of along those lines, long term, we're already doing some planning. We've got about a half a dozen, 8 kind of people in this area of youth programming. So we're doing some work on trying to get something going next summer to cover this summer and just become a little more consistent since there isn't anything that's been long term, I would say. So we're going to continue to work on that, work with some grant funding on that as well. There was several parties that have some expertise in that area. Then the last thing was I gave you all a handout on safety days, youth safety days. We've facilitated this collaboration a little bit with all the city entities and came up with a schedule starting next week. And as you can see on there, on the between fire PD, fire department, library, MUB, emergency management, MESTA, and the rec. We'll have it broken down with water safety on the 13th of July, just a general safety on the 20th, 27th, electrical and weather, and then on August 3rd, bike and other weather-related safety from a health perspective on MESTA and that kind of thing. So just to try to get the ball rolling in the youth area there, provide some opportunities. So that's about it. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Buddy Glenn, Street Department.
I'm gonna give you 3 guesses what I've been doing for about the last 2.5 weeks, and the first 2 guesses don't count. So, no, like I said, with these double storms that come in, the first one, when something like that usually happens, we usually try to get in, try to get it picked up, get it off of there. I know we're gonna have to change things. I've talked with the mayor for a little bit, and I think and I've called Tulsa and Broken Arrow, kind of seen when they do, the ones that hard hit with the storms and their brush and debris, what they do. And I think we're gonna try that if it happens again. What they do is they usually wait anywhere from 10 to 30 days before they actually start picking anything up. So I know there's a lot of aggravated citizens out there. I know there's some say, well, we didn't pick theirs up, but I know some of it, once we go through, then there's other people that hadn't had a chance to get theirs pulled out. And then they look, they'll call and say, well, you missed mine. But what's been happening, like I said, we've try to go through and do it fairly fast to get everything cleaned up, where everything looks good, help everybody out. But then we come back the next day and I'll drive around through it, and then people finally they're getting theirs drug out through there. So I think this next time, to save with all the confusion, again, I think this next time when it comes around, we're going to give everybody 10 days to get everything drug out, and then we're gonna go through one time and pick up, because this will be the third time that we've gone through. And we still haven't been able to get some of the alleys. I noticed there's more, I was driving through them today, and people are, anything's in the backyard, are starting to throw in the alleys again. So I'm gonna ask the code enforcement if they would start driving up and down some of these alleys to, let's get control of this. We've already went through and picked it up twice this year. And it's supposed to be put out, that there's no dumping of trash or any type of debris, limbs, or anything in the alleyways. I know the alleys there for a while, we had them, what they was for is, with the sanitation service, that's where they went. Well, they don't go back there anymore. I mean, we still try to maintain them, keep everything trimmed up for safety-wise. I mean, a fire truck had to get back behind the house with some of these piles that we've had back before. They wouldn't be able to make it back through there. So we're trying to keep everything graded and mowed, sprayed, and trimmed up. So, I'm asking if everybody's listening to this or whatever, to please don't throw your stuff in the back alleys no more. I mean, because like I said, we've already discussed it, and if they continue with this, there's supposed to be a written notice given to them, and then a fine after that. And then if we have to come back and pick it up, then there's going to be they're going to pay to have it done.
Well, and there's a couple reasons. As we go forward, we're wise if we learn from what we experience. And so, those alleyways are super accessible for the utility company to get back there and fix. Putting debris and trash back there slows that process tremendously. In turn, that affects people who need the electricity, don't have it. Also, Buddy and I talked about making sure that everybody is aware not to put your debris on or near your gas supply. The last thing we want is for Buddy with that diesel tractor to go and grab a pile of brush, and it's got a gas meter in the middle of it. You thought Freedom Fest was a good show. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, we've had some other situations where things that should not be disposed of in is that a safe
pile? Yes.
Things that, biologically things. We had an instance where an animal was put in one of the brush piles. We want to make sure that we don't do that. We're not that kind of a city. We take care of each other. Also, remember, this is something that we do as a benefit to our citizens. We do it because it's our Pryor, it's our town. We want to take care, but we can't continue doing it if we have to continue dealing with problems, and we really don't want to stop it. We just want to adjust and find a better way to do it. So, super kudos to the street and Parks Department for doing what they've done over the last 3 weeks to get things cleaned up. I've instructed Buddy to kind of wrap that up and let's move forward. You got a lot to get back on track with, and so, thank you for doing that.
Well, like I said, because I had one guy quit, so I'm gonna have to come to the street committee to try to refill that position. I've got guys that's having to get their vacations off before their hire date. So I've got one guy that he's taking his last week of vacation for this week. So that puts us down. And then, like I said, we've been trying to get out to paint crosswalks, which we're going to start today. Well, then what had happened? It started raining. So then we put them back. Because right now I've got 2 people out picking up brush. So it's going to take us longer to get around. But I talked with Bobby, and I think what we're going to wind up doing, since we've got a couple of days left, that I'm going to, instead of trying to paint, because they're talking more rain coming in. So I think I was going to have them go back out and continue to start back over like on the south side of town and just start going back down through there and getting this one last time and try to, and I've been driving around, it's pretty good because there's been a lot of people been really helpful. They've been hauling their own stuff off, which that helps us. And again, and I know there's some, I don't say mistakes or whatever, but that once we started gone through, and then there was people that hadn't had their brush out yet, and we've gone on. Well, we may be 2 or 3 days down the road, and they're wondering how come we haven't picked theirs up. Well, probably 9 times out of 10, it's something that once we went through and they didn't get it out in time. So that's what we're looking at trying to solve that problem. So we're not out for almost 3 weeks picking up brush. So that hopefully that way there to give everybody a chance to get it out. Then we can make one pass through town, which would be benefit with the citizens and also with the city. So we're not spending everything on that for the fuel and the man hours just on one thing. Because I had to pull some off. We had some base failure out here on Gaither. Between Old 20 and 5th Street, we had to go, I had to pull a couple guys off, go out there and dig them out and redo the base, and we'll have to come back and fix those. And again, just different things that's come up that, you know, we have, like with our mowing, you know, if you notice some of the Johnson grass, you know, I've put that off as long as we can. So now we've got to get out and start getting that mowed back down. So, I mean, it just takes us a little bit longer to get around because, you know, again, it's just, last time it wasn't quite as much brush as we had, you know, in 07, 08 when we had the ice storms through, but there was quite a bit this last time. There's quite a bit of brush out through there. So all I say is people just be patient with us. We're gonna get around and try to do what we can. You know, and I understand there's a lot of elderly people out there, you know, that's been here in Pryor from day one. And I've talked with several of them that's had, you know, a hard time getting anybody or anything to, you know, to get theirs out to the front, you know. And it's another thing I'd like to see if you know, if they're disabled or if they're handicapped and they can't do things, I would like to have a look at something where they can get put on a list that if they're not able to do this, you know, most people don't have a saw, you know, and things like that. But, you know, where these people, they come up and show that, you know, a piece of paper saying, you know, I am handicapped, can't do this, put them on the list so they get extra attention, these things like that. So we can go up there and help them out a little bit more. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, like I said, we're trying to work on, I mean, it is slowing down. There is some places out there, I drove around, it looks a lot better, but there is some new brush piles that's come up that are still green, and we have caught several people just trimming. It wasn't storm damage, so, you know, we have to watch that, because again, now we're hauling something off that wasn't considered storm damage. So whether they're bushes or whatever it is, you know, that's something we're just gonna have to deal with too. But other than that, we're trying to do everything that we can, and just, like I said, just be patient. We'll get around eventually and get everything, but, you know, we have other businesses that we need to take care of that besides just with the brush right now.
For a point of clarification, there's been discussion on social media, what size branches you'll take. Do you take logs, just branches? That's been popping up, so could you address that?
Well, I mean, we talked with the mayor about this, and, you know, anywhere 6 to 8 feet long or whatever. That we've had some people that just, there's trees in their yard that hasn't been anything done to it, and we've passed them on by because it wasn't cut up and stacked out to the curb. You know, we can't go up by somebody's front porch and, you know, cut it up and then haul all that off.
The request that we put out the day of the storm was that any larger diameter logs be cut to 6 feet.
Yeah.
And that's so that his equipment can get those picked up. So we'd like to stick with that going forward.
Yeah, because you get some of them we've got there. I mean, they're big, you know, 3 foot around. I mean, those things got a lot of weight to them. So we try to, if they can, to cut them down. I mean, we carry saw with us on each crew that's been around through there, and if we have to, you know, we'll cut them and then restack them or whatever. But that's the thing. It's just something that the skid steer, and then we had a backhoe going around with the clamps and stuff on it and haul them off. And if they're the large tree stumps that's like that, the backhoe back end won't safely pick them up. It'll pick them up, but it's not. I think it's more of a safety hazard. So just writing them down, we've been going back with the skid steer and then picking them up with that. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, 6, 8 feet, I mean, something like that there would be. And also I've had several people call and complained, no name or no number, but because we left leaves and little sticks in their yard. It's not our job to rake the yard. I mean, if we tried to clean all that up, we would never get done. So, I mean, that's something that, you know, I don't know what to tell them. I mean, well, you know, it's your yard, you need to clean it up. We're just trying to get the big stuff and move on. So, but other than that, you know, I'll probably taking calls, papers and everything, but, you know, like I said, just be patient. We'll get around and get everything picked up.
Thank you, sir.
Quick as we can.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
I do have a question, and it's not for you, it's just a general question for all the department heads, and maybe, Courtney, maybe the city clerk's office has this. Would it be possible to get a list of all the temp employees by department head?
Oh, yeah, we
And how long they've been there as
Yeah,
temp employees?
that's something I can get for you.
Can you get that for us?
Yep.
And can you also get us like the salaries? And I'm also interested in how much we're paying the temp agency itself.
Yep.
You have all that?
Yep, I can get everything.
Can you do it first, since we just well, no, thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I can get it emailed to
Thank you.
all of you guys if you'd like.
All right, Courtney, did you have anything?
I do not.
All right, we'll move on to the item number 4, consent agenda. Are there any items that we would like to see pulled from that?
Yes, sir. A, please.
A, okay,
G and H?
G and H and F.
Yes and F.
Yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve B, C, D, and E?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Gantier, a second from Nance. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Item A, approve minutes of the June 20th, 2023 council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
A motion
Second.
from Choya and a second from Chitwood.
Mr. Mayor, is that one of the ones that we requested pulled?
That's the letter
Or
A.
A.
I looked at the wrong one.
You,
This is the one dealing with 3H.
Okay, all right, good.
so discussion.
Yeah, that's one that you, affected you.
No
He- he-
discussion.
He had a problem on the 3H. Did y'all fix it already? The correction, there was a problem with the no vote versus a yes vote. It's on letter A.
Did you,
on what?
from the last council meeting?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
3H.
3H.
Oh, which is why you pulled the minutes off. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got that fixed, I thought.
We'll double check on that and make sure that that's corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Okay. Item F, approve CMS Willowbrook Pay App 27 in the amount of $25,797.63. Do I have a
Motion.
motion? Motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Choya. Discussion. So I pulled this off. I wanted to take a brief minute to explain some of the questions that we've had regarding our pay application and certificate documentation. So there's been a lot of unclarity in that. I have a copy here. It should be in your packet. This is the document that we're referencing. When I had Brenna here last week, I sat her down and I said, explain this document to me so that I understand it as well as you do. And so she did. And so what we're looking at here on the front page, item number 9, where it says balance to finish plus retainage, that is what we owe her. On this one that I have, which is invoice 1903A P27, that number is $299,921.21. I want to explain that so that we all understand. So we'll get to that. Basically, two main columns that we want to look at in these invoices. If you'll turn the page to the first, page 2 of 16, you'll see, and I'll try to hold this up for the public. There's several columns on here. We want to focus on item E, which is work completed this period. So one of the questions we had last council meeting, and the reason it was pulled off was because there was some unclarity on what the amount that we were being billed versus the amount in that column. The amount in that column specifically, on this particular one, is $4,411. That was just the work done in that period.
Which line item is that?
What are you talking about? Item E, or column E.
Column E?
The very, very, very last of the grand totals on column E.
What page?
The very last page, 16 of 16, says 4,411. That is the work done in that period. That's additional to what we were being billed on this pay app. So there were several periods, but that's what we had to pay on top of that. And so we got that worked out, added it up. The amount that we do owe is that 25,000 that's on here, the 25,797. The other column that I want to draw your attention to is column H. And so column H is a little bit of good news, right? Balance to finish. And so what this includes, you'll see some numbers randomly on there. I think the first one on page 2 says allowance aggregate, and then you go to column H, it's $3,372.71. So that is an allowance that she did not spend. So guess what that means? We get it back. You go down further, there's a contingency for 7123. We get that back. Turn the page to page 4, $1,550 for specialties or toilet partitions allowance. Guess what? We get that back. This continues down, landscaping allowance, $23,384. We get that back. This goes down through, there's one for $6,000, $16,300 for miscellaneous metals, $4,000 for, $4,158 for steels. Sorry, I'm kind of rounding the numbers, if you guys will. There's one on page 7 for testing allowance. That's $13,562. Guess what? We get that back. CM contingency for $4,700 on page 8. You go down, page 10 has several of them down there on the end for steel and for panels. Tile backsplash allowance, we get that back. Page 11, there's $3,000 for material testing and back cabinets and desk allowances, we get that back. Page 12, contingency, item 11,600, $16,140, we get that back. This continues all the way down through page 13, 3,800, 2,100, 4,800, 3,000, 25,190. We get that back. On page 14, I'm going pretty quick, I apologize. There's a contingency on line 14,900 for $146,492.73. We get that back. These are unspent contingencies, so we will get that back. Now, in the very last page, page 16 of 16, and I know I went really fast. The second to the last item on here is item number 15,123, jail changes per state fire marshal. That's those fire doors. That's $27,399. We do not get that back. Okay, so that is the only thing in that item, in that line. And so rough estimate, it'll be quite a bit over $200,000 that we get back in retainage. So I know that was really fast. And as soon as we pay off what we owe her on this last one, that'll start the process on moving forward to get that wrapped up. Any questions on how that works?
This should be the last payment, probably.
I believe so. If not the last, we may have one more little one, but she was pretty confident we're getting pretty dang close. So, all right.
So to clarify, Mr. Mayor, that you said it on page 1, or the cover page, that the item of balance to finish, $299,921, that's what we still owe.
So if you were to ask Willowbrook, she'd say, yeah, that's what you owe, but when she's paid off, 200 and some odd thousand of that will come back because it's allowances.
Minus the things you just went down.
I promise, that is not mayor math. I didn't make that math up, so, not mayor math, not mayor math. I'm just explaining it, so.
Thank you.
But that is as per Brenna with CMS Willowbrook, that those allowances and contingencies will come back to us because they are unused.
This, Mr. Mayor, on this page, it was the pay application Gmail that came in.
That's that breakdown that,
That came in the email? Yeah.
And it has 2507, 19,000, 684.99, 9,700. That's the line items. Is the first number I'm calling. 925.75, 15,107, 458 and 42 cents, and 15,109, 317. Is it that plus the 4,000? Is that what they're asking for?
Yeah. So that was the.
All right. My question is, when I look at those line items, it shows that all of those are 100%, and could you explain why we're having this, when you look on the line item, it shows that it's already.
No, because I don't understand what you're asking. Try again.
Like if you go to 2507, and you go on here on these documents to 2507, it shows, that's on the 3 of 16.
Right, the MD glass and glazing
Yeah, it shows that
contract.
it's been 100%.
Okay.
It doesn't show that we owe a balance on that. Why are we paying a balance when I don't see where we owe a balance? And that's on all four of them. I don't understand that. That's city councilman math.
Probably so.
That one's called Willowbrook math.
Willowbrook math, yes.
I was being nice.
So we have to pay that, right? And when we got the pay application, I believe that being 100%, once that's paid, that's on there.
But it's not calling for it in the column that's pay this period. Why?
No, it's not pay this period, it's work done this period.
But it's not work done this period that I understand. It's not registering. I don't know if I'm the only one that it's not registering, but it's just, I'm not seeing a correlation between that and.
So what are you getting at, Chris? What are you?
It seems like when we were
suggesting?
paying these other ones, you'd go down that column, which is column, I'll go back to it, this period column, and you add all that up, and that's what we owe this period. But that's not the case this time, and I'm confused as to why.
Because, remember, I just said that there were multiple pay this periods in one billing cycle. So it could be, last week or last month we did this, but what we're being billed for is that glazing, I remember specifically, was in payment application 26, I believe, the one right before this, because I remember that glazing part stood out to me. So what we're being billed for, and that last one was delayed, so we're paying for that and the work this period.
Pay app 26 is also included in the packet. Do you guys want to look at that?
Here's 27.
Mayor, on the page that he's talking about, the item 2507, which is some sort of modification of over $19,000 for glass and glazing windows, what was the problem there that we're having to pay extra for that on a modification? What was the
Let me get myself there. Sorry,
Okay.
Oh, that dude.
4507.
Well, I guess it'd be 507 category.
So you'll see that there was a $19,000 retainage on that. And I believe with that retainage is that's that $19,000 that we're paying, if I'm not mistaken. And so that would be what's due to her. And that's what's in item 26. Does that make sense?
Well, was this modification done recently, or is this something that was approved months and months ago, and we're still having to pay an extra $19,000?
So we're behind. We are behind because we've delayed payments. So what we have here is 26, and we have 27.
26 was paid previously. I've included it in the packet for reference.
But in the
We're
packet,
only-
we've got 26.
We're only
and
currently
27.
paying pay app 27.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm expressing my concern again. There's been some shoddy workmanship, to say the least. My opinion, it is a disaster. I read the contract with CMS Willowbrook, and when we make our final payment, we only have 30 days to audit it. And this is a disaster. I don't think they did a good job, and I'm gonna tell you from now until we get our audit done, I'm gonna no vote every time.
Thank you.
That's-
Noted. So please understand and respect. Fine, it's voted, it's great. But the idea is that we did sit down with her last week, and we went through in detail, and they understand where we stand in the work that needs to be done. They're going to address it and get things going. I think there were some communication issues going on mixed with transition and leaderships and things like that. So I feel confident that we're on the same page, and they know that my expectation is that work will be completed before we finish. And by finish, I mean, say that they're good to go. So
So what's going on with the audit?
that's not on this agenda.
Yeah.
We
So-
can discuss that at a later date.
It was laid over till the budget comes out, and we can address it then. That's what it was laid over.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to discard that, but we want to stay on there. Okay, so further discussion?
What was this work again? Glazing?
Glazing is the window work.
Yeah.
So there was some window work, I believe, at the library as well as
Okay.
that had to be done.
All right.
And I could be slightly off on the location, but there was some things there. So. Yeah. But the true amount that we do owe is the 25,000 that's on the agenda for tonight. $25,797. So, no further discussion, call for the vote.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
No.
Gantier,
No.
Smith,
No.
Lamar,
No.
Shropshire.
Yes.
We have 4 yeses and 4 nos.
Yes.
We have to remember too that if we owe this, we pay it, and then if we come back in an audit and we decide through the audit that they owe us, then we have to go after them legally. We can't not pay them. If we not pay, then we can end up with the opportunity maybe not to get a loan or something the next time because we won't pay what we're owed. And so you can run into those problems also. So what you need to do is go after whoever's fault it was that this was incorrect, if we find that to be true.
After 30 days, though, we won't be able to go after Willowbrook according to the contract.
Did we
That's
call for
my,
the vote?
my concern.
We voted on that, correct?
Yeah,
Passed, okay.
yeah, voting's over.
All right. Sorry, guys, we're gonna cut you short. We're gonna stay to the agenda. Item G, acknowledge retirement of Cheryl Lewis effective July 7th, 2023. Do I have a vote? Or a
Motion.
Okay, not all at once, guys.
Uh,
To write this
Did you have
down.
the,
I-
Troya had the motion and Chitwood had the second.
In that case, if you'd have wrote something down, it'd probably been good. 'Cause it's-
Discussion?
I just want to thank Cheryl on behalf of the council and the mayor and citizens of Pryor for her time here with the city. It was a long time, very much appreciated, and wish her the best in her future.
Let's second that.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Okay. Item H, acknowledge resignation of Kim Ritchie effective June 30th, 2023. Do I have a
Motion.
motion Gantier?
Second.
Second from Smith. Discussion.
Also asked for this be pulled, and Kim was the attorney for the city for quite some time. Would like to thank him for his time with the city, and appreciate it and wish him best in his future.
Thank you. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 5, Mayor's Report. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding additional surcharges on backordered dump trucks for the street department.
Motion?
We have a motion from Chitwood, second from Choya. Discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Did we have a contract that we were gonna purchase these at a certain amount? And if so,
Buddy.
why are we having to pay extra?
Well, Buddy, would you like to come and take a few seconds and explain that?
Where's that?
And I'll address that also.
We had it on our desk. I can't find mine.
Yeah, at this time when we ordered the trucks, the thing was, I know that we jumped in actually a little bit early to get our list, our name put on the list for some of these trucks. And I believe also in the contract that it states in there, which I guess, like I said, I passed over to whatever, but
Referencing this page.
it states in there talking about if, when it's through here, or is any price increase from the factory that, I guess for splitting it or whatever it is, but it is it's not something that Holt Trucking is doing, it's just coming directly from the factory. And it was a $1,500 surcharge that come back to them, and all he's doing is passing it on to us. I've talked with him and things, but the thing is, I need to look at also is if, we decide, well, we're not gonna spend the $1,500 for this, then we're still back to square one again with, the trucks that we have now that's needing to be replaced. So we don't know what the price would be, coming up if we had to redo these again. And I've talked with other people, companies that has done this, and they've had to do the same thing when ordering equipment sometimes, again, with it taking so long. I mean, there's different reasons why, getting parts, putting them together. It's just, there's not come from one place, they're come from many different areas. And there's a lot of times that when it comes in that, prices go up. But I mean, again, if y'all don't see that you want to spend the extra 1,500, then we'll just start the process all over, because the trucks that we're using down there now is, I mean, they just need to be replaced.
What was the actual cost of these units? I mean, we're talking 1,500. Kind of what percentage of the overall price per unit is
You're
this?
probably talking maybe half. I mean, they're 240 or 240-some thousand for the two trucks.
And that 15 covers both.
Yeah,
vehicles.
that's both vehicles.
Not per.
Yeah, that's for both of them.
So it's 1,500 out of, so we're talking.
It's 1,500 for the deal.
Like
that we-
0.7%, 0.6% of the whole deal?
Well, I mean, if you want me to figure it out, I can, but I mean.
No, I'm just, I
That's
know.
close.
Just, we're close enough.
Well, what's that, probably 0.5%, something like that.
So, Mayor and Buddy, this is $1,500 per truck or
No, that's
total?
for both of them.
For total.
Okay, and that's the item here that's circled in this column, right?
Yes, the
Okay.
top right.
If you go on down in the fine print, though, it says, in addition to the surcharges above, another $500 per unit freight delivery price increase is effective on vehicles built on or after May 15, 2022. So is this really going to be another $500
No,
each on top of that?
No, because that's what I asked him. I said, that was, because he was given the opportunity to come here the other night to step up to explain this, and. I
And he
don't
was a
know if-
no-show.
Yeah, but when I finally I talked to him when I was even off last week. He called me at the house, and I talked with him for close to an hour on the phone. And I said, I'm not going to come up here and bid your story, for you for this here. I said, you need to come up to explain this. And I said, if nothing else, I said, I need something where they can look at to see what you're wanting, what this surcharge is going to be.
Yeah.
And he said it would be
Circle.
1,500 for both trucks.
Right there, it says it again,
So
in the circle
that's-
too, to let you know that.
Mr. Mayor, I would like Mr. Chitwood to get in on this discussion about the vehicles hard to get, as he deals with that all the time.
He's right there.
Listen, you bought this off state contract, so VSWO 35T. And it states in state contract that this is an allowable charge. And yes, unfortunately, after certain delivery dates, there is escalation, or cost and price. Plus, another thing is, we got in early ordering to secure a position for the vehicle. The prices were cheaper than. If we'd have waited till after this date to order, this would reflect the price of the truck that we're gonna pay for now, plus additional charges, not just the surcharge,
Correct.
because of the price increases that have gone on. No one likes this. It's happening a lot. I deal with it every day at work on change orders. And unfortunately, since COVID, this has become a fact of life. It is written in all contracts. If you want to take that out of contract, they won't take your order.
Buddy, how long have we been waiting on these trucks?
Well, it'll be year and 3 months, year, 4 months.
Okay.
I mean, I know he sends me an email every time we get something in, he sends it in to me, he said, well, we got this, we're gonna, they're waiting for us. The contractor is supposedly having everything, he's gotta put everything together, put the hydraulics, onto the trucks, and then with the wiring, because it's got all the safety lights that comes with that. And, then, of course, like I told him, I said, well, you keep putting it off, and, the only other thing, I talked with him about, if talking about any more price increase, then I said, then our trade-ins should be worth more. But, so anyway, he knows that part there, but again, he said, well, you want to risk the 1,500 on these trucks? And I told him the same thing, and he said, well, I can probably turn right around and sell these since they're already here and put together. So, I mean, but that's what we're looking at.
So, just for reference, this could have been shot down in the street department. I encourage the street department or the street committee, I'm sorry, not department, committee. Okay, so that's what happens when you have a weekend off and then you come back to work for a day and then you have another day off, right? So I encouraged them to pass that through to the council because, I'd sure hate to have to wait another year or two for some trucks that Buddy desperately needs for $1,500 that clearly is on the paper that we are just gonna have to, we have to do it.
It's gonna cost another 50,000 probably if we
It's
wait.
gonna do that, and you take a chance, because and there's such shortage of these trucks now, each dealership gets X number of vehicles.
Right.
I have my name on several, where I'm at already, and if you don't have that, unless someone cancels, and that's how I was fortunate to get one this year, somebody canceled, I was next in line and got moved up, but that doesn't happen real often.
That's why we actually went in and signed up actually before last year, just so we could get our name on the list. So when everything come around, that we could get them. It's just taken a while to get everything put together. I mean, it's,
I accept Council Chitwood's expertise on this. I call for vote.
And like
I've got one more clarification,
sir.
please. I'm not opposed to paying this because it's the way things fall today. But I'm just for transparency, I'm looking at this fine print down here to where we know we're not gonna get charged another $500 because it says in addition to the surcharges mentioned above, and they've got it circled here, just like that up there, it says a $500 per unit freight delivery price increase was announced to be effective on vehicles invoiced after May 15, 2022. So I'm just saying, I think we're probably gonna get stuck for that in addition to. And if that's the way it is, that's the way it is, but I'm just,
well, then.
we already have a
If
PO,
it is, this will be the last time that we deal with this company because.
but it says it right there.
Okay. Let me finish.
When it says
If it comes
invoice-
down to that point right there, we will not deal with these people anymore because he told me, he said that is it, $1,500 surcharge. So if there's anything more than that, then he's basically come back and lied to me.
This is the delivery price.
So I'm just saying that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's go ahead and call for the vote on this.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance.
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Okay. Item B, discussion and possible action approving Lisa Malone as Assistant City Clerk effective July 8th, 2023. This position will be left vacant by Cheryl Lewis's resignation effective July 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Gantier, second Nance. Discussion? Good. All right. Call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. I'm really excited.
Item C, discussion and possible action to approve, discussion and possible approval to leave donation per our personal policy and procedure manual, Chapter 13, Section 8. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion Gantier.
Second.
Second Chitwood. Discussion?
What is this?
Okay, so,
Would you like us?
Assistant Clerk, you can help out with this, but we have.
Tomorrow, she doesn't get paid for it today.
We have an it's all right, we'll give her credit. She does a lot. So
Oh,
the
yeah,
idea is that we have an employee who is on sick leave, and that sick leave will exceed the amount of time that she has in her sick leave bank, but it is what it is, and so I have given my blessing on allowing other employees that have excess sick time to share that with her so that she can have that, so.
Per our policy, mayor can sign off on 40 hours of vacation and/or sick leave donation to another individual. We are possibly going to need more than that.
Okay.
So, but we don't like to put names or situations
No,
on
certainly
public
not, yeah.
record. That's why it's kind of vague, but we're following guidelines, so you need to approve if we can have other individuals donate over the 40
Okay.
hours.
Thank you for the explanation.
I have a question about
Yes,
that. And the only question is, are you going straight hour for hour? Or let's say that the employee that needs the time doesn't make the same amount of money as the employee that's going to donate? Do you give that amount so it makes extra hours, or how do you want to pull that one off?
It's just, everybody has a bank, a sick leave bank or a
Right.
vacation bank. Doesn't matter how much
They're paid,
They're paid. It's just you're donating hours you have been awarded.
so it's hour for hour, no matter what the pay for that scale is. Okay.
So
That's
this,
what I
so
was
this is
wondering.
allowing one employee or other employees to donate their sick leave towards it, to this person?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So again, that just is a great example of how awesome our city employees are.
Yep.
Very generous.
Definitely family. So further discussion? If none, we will call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance.
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before we get into these other items, can we take a 5-minute break?
Does anybody else need to take a break?
Oh, yeah, let's have a break.
We will take a 5-minute break.
Meeting has been called.
After we left Saturday night, oh,
Meeting's
both of
called.
our sons live in Wichita, and all our grandkids.
Dave's not here.
All right. Let's go ahead and continue. I think we have everybody back. We'll continue. We are on item number D, discussion and possible action, discussion and possibly authorize the mayor to sign an agreement between Infrastructure Solutions Group and the city of Pryor Creek. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Choya, second by Chipwood, sorry. Okay, discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, it's my understanding that same group, different individual, but, I know we discussed to make sure certain things didn't happen again in the future, so just wanted
So-
to see how that was gonna be addressed.
Gentlemen, this is Mr. Dale Burke. He's president of Infrastructure Solutions. He is the one that we are working with currently, and I believe the one on the contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a bio, but I put him in front of you, so somebody better ask this man a
Well,
question.
Mr. Gantier, there's the man. You can ask all the way.
Lay it on him.
My biggest concern was with some things when we question about procedures that were legal procedures, totally inappropriate response. And my thing is, I just want to make sure the law says we got to do it this way, we have to do it this way. And that response wasn't what I got from our previous person that we worked with. And I just want to make sure that kind of stuff never happens again.
I don't know anything about what you're saying, but I will discuss that with Steve, and I'll find out what it is, and we'll get it corrected.
So going,
We gotta be by the law, I mean.
Well, we worked on that. I think some of those issues were corrected. I just want to make sure going forward that never happens again.
Sure.
so Mr. Burke and I have a meeting tomorrow
Tomorrow.
at 2, where we have some things that we're going to address, and we'll take some time to kind of go over, set some grounds as we go forward and take that. I'm kind of excited to work with Mr. Burke. He's very knowledgeable, very polite, and courteous so far with everything we've had, so.
And the other thing I want, I didn't notice any differences between the previous contract and this contract. It's all pretty much the same from,
It's pretty much the same, yeah, there's your standard
Yeah.
contracts for all engineers. It's kinda, if you're familiar with architects, they're AIAs, we work under EJCDCs.
thank you.
You welcome.
Sir, will we have one specific person that's assigned to handle Pryor and be up here to talk to us like the previous
This
person
is
was?
him.
Just let you know, Steve will be back in the middle of the month, but he is gonna retire by the end of the year. And when Steve retires, it's either gonna be myself or an engineer. Yes, you will have a single person, and when he needs to be here, just make a phone call, just like tonight. I'm here. Always will be, whatever we gotta do.
Okay.
Okay. So he's still with your company, is not retired yet?
That's correct. He took about a month and a half off for family reasons, okay? And he's agreed to stay on a little bit longer for the transition. He's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm trying to get together as much of it as I can.
I think the key there is the transition, so.
Yes,
Yeah, which is great.
yes.
And he has given you an effective retirement notice date?
He has, but I've pushed him off of it a couple of times, and I'll keep trying, but you know, if you're if there's some issue with Steve, I need to know. He's one of my employees, okay?
I have an issue with him, for sure.
Okay, and I guess we'll talk about that tomorrow?
Yeah, we won't discuss issues in here.
We'll
Thank you.
take care of it.
And you're free to call me. He'll give you my number if you want to talk to me privately. I'll be glad to.
Okay.
Further questions, comments? Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes?
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Sir.
Nice to meet you.
Hang on one second. Item E, discussion and possible action for the Pryor Creek Police Department to purchase 4 flock safety LPR cameras for a total cost of $12,600, which includes installation. This is for 1 year and will be a year-to-year contract. From account 969655502, Cherokee Nation donation. Discussion will be limited to 20 minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Do we have a motion?
I want to make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Smith.
Make a motion to accept the flock camera contract only with an ordinance policy that addresses the sale of data and retention time of non-hit tags.
Can I see that, please, so I can read it?
I'm trying to make peace to get the guilty caught and the innocent let off. That's what I'm trying to do with having a giant battle.
Come on up,
Can you
Chief.
please read that motion?
I am going to read that
Yes, I
motion.
was saying, I need
Because we
that.
still need a second. The motion is to accept the flock camera contract only with an ordinance policy that addresses the sale of data, retention time of non-hit tags, so the innocent tags. So,
So are you limiting your motion on the language in the ordinance to only include those things or other items as
No.
needed in a discussion during the?
Those things plus whatever the ordinance
minimum.
committee comes up with that we can live with.
So I don't think the, the cell part is an issue. The non-hit tags, they run all the tags, so say a crime happened a week ago, we don't find out about it, until next week, that's where we're gonna have a problem. I don't know how you.
I've thought about this.
Before we get into a
lot.
discussion,
Yeah, we need a second.
I have to have a second.
Okay.
I'll second it, so I can talk.
Second,
Second choice.
Yeah.
but you second that as per what he says.
As he brought it out, right. Okay, so I've been thinking about this. We were told the first time that you go on vacation and you come back and you don't realize your vehicle's gone until you come back, okay? What is going to be different if you turn it in 2 weeks and it goes on the hot list? Or if you don't know and nobody's turned it in on the hot list? How's that going to be different?
I don't understand fully exactly what he's asking on that, but I know that 30-day window gives you that retention of that data for 30 days, gives you that window where you can go in there.
But nobody knows what to look for unless it's on a hot list. It's
Right, but he's
just a
saying like if
number.
it's, say the tag's already been entered into NCIC and it hits, that's the ones we can keep for 30 days. But if it's a tag that has not, then we can't keep it for 30 days. So like yours. maybe
That's
so-
what he's wanting to know. The ones that you don't have anything on, then what's the time period you're gonna keep those? 72 hours?
I don't know if you can honestly decipher that. I'd have to get with Flock and see. I don't think there's a way to decipher non-hit tags from.
He
tags.
actually said that you could.
Yeah.
When he was when we were on the video conference with him, he actually said you could set your program up to do whatever you wanted to. And in fact, I think Councilman Trammell even brought up, how about 10 seconds or something like that? I think's what he said.
Well, that's for everything. That's for every tag. That's not for hit tags. When he's talking about hit tags, he's talking about NCIC. So that tag has been entered NCIC, National Crime Information Center.
Sure.
Whatever, whether it's an Amber Alert, stolen.
That stays on until you find something out.
30 days.
Right, okay.
Is
So-
when that data can be held.
Okay, so the ones that are just driving by every day, how long are those held?
I'm assuming 30 days, just like everything else. I don't know if they're not getting hit to the system. So like,
Just how many terabytes of information are you gonna have on 69 highway?
it's in the cloud, so I guess it's unlimited as far as that end of it goes. Like it
I mean,
can
that's
hold an
gonna
unlimited
take a
amount.
lot.
But they have Tulsa. I mean, you can imagine in Tulsa, the amount of
That's
traffic.
why I'm
that
thinking
can
if they keep it for that long, it's unimaginable what the number would be of how many tags.
The storage of the data and the amount of space it takes is really irrelevant. in
Correct.
this. The question is, how long are we gonna retain the information of the tags that were not a hit?
The innocent citizens.
The tags that were not a hit. And I think you brought up a point that we need to think about. If I go on vacation, I went on a 2-week vacation, I have a car sitting in my front yard. That car is stolen and driven down past one of our cameras. Well, by golly, we did a 10-second deal. I come home and I say, hey, we got that car going anywhere? I don't know, we deleted it 10 seconds after it went by the screen. My concern is I'd want to know where my car went. And if my car went through my community into a community that had another, or we have a child abduction case, or we have a silver alert. You know, I saw somebody just the other day, it was a mother, had posted on social media that she was looking for her son and hadn't seen him for about 4 days. 10 seconds later, we deleted it though.
No, that would be a hit.
No, that'd be different.
That would be a hit.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
If it was put in, it would be a hit.
If it hadn't have been put in, because I promise, my mother doesn't call me every day. My mother doesn't worry about my well-being every day, but should there come a period, and again, this is a hypothetical situation, and somebody says, hey, mayor's missing, I would want to know that somebody could go back and look to see where I went, or where my vehicle went, or where it is. Now, do we need to keep that data forever? Do we need to keep that data for months on end? No. But to say that we want to keep it for just a few minutes, or we want to keep it for a day, I don't think gives due process to law enforcement, because not every crime is uncovered the minute it happens.
Sure.
Not every, you know, I'm on vacation, I don't have Pryor PD going by my house every day to make sure that that car is there.
You're right.
And so when I get back and I'm like, holy cow, holy cow, my car is missing. Did we get it? I'd love to have that opportunity to say, you know what, we saw your car heading south. And knowing that there's other communities south would allow them to help pinpoint that.
But your car's gonna be long gone by then.
Yeah,
The
so
purpose, the
I was
purpose
in
of these
Dallas 4
cameras
weeks ago.
is not for the purposes described. The whole sales pitch on these cameras nationwide is to look for a wanted car at that time. So, and I want to go back to what I quoted on the two American Civil Liberties Union reports. And anybody knows me knows I'm not a fan of the ACLU, but they bring out some very good points here. They state that if there is not a hit, that car tag should be deleted immediately. However, they say, and there is one city, possibly two, on one of the coasts that has a city ordinance, just like we're discussing, that requires any non-hit tag be deleted in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. However, the ACLU recommends to protect the constitutional privacy of the law-abiding citizen, there should not be any retention beyond a 72-hour period. And for us to be sitting here and discussing how we're going to be using those cameras in a way that was never intended to be used is even more frightening than the use of the cameras for the purpose that they are intended to be used.
I'm not sure that anybody's discussing a way that it should not be used. I think we're all talking about the same thing.
Mayor, that's why I made my motion like I did, so that the committee could look at it, come up with something livable, and then come back.
Well, I think it's been very much so discussed, even between Chief and I, that setting some parameters is very much appropriate. Setting those timeframes is very much appropriate. Having ordinances, did we not discuss that?
Policy, procedure.
Having policy and procedure that locks us in would be absolutely 100% appropriate. And that conversation came before and after the last meeting. So we've discussed that, and I don't feel that there's any neglect to anybody's point of views on those. We want to make sure that everybody's obviously a little more comfortable. That's the best way I could say it. And I don't mean to make light of it, but we want to make sure that everybody knows we're listening. We're listening.
Mr. Mayor, you made a comment about the police department and due process. Due process is to protect the citizen, the individual, not for the police department. And I struggled with this, and I looked at some things, and I gave a sheet last time stating my position, and I'll give one that was modified to reflect the dates with the addition of I'm concerned about Title 47-7-606.1. It deals with the uninsured vehicle enforcement program. And it talks about, and I have one of these for everybody on council, including the mayor. And there's a few little highlighted parts to look at. I'm not going to go through all of them. Section 3, access to the system shall be restricted to authorized law enforcement agency users in the program. But it goes over here, and if you flip over to the second page, when data is no longer needed as evidence of a violation, the data shall be deleted or destroyed. Now, this is an existing law, and I know you're gonna say it's irrelevant, but I'm gonna show you something that I think it's something to look at. F, data collected or retained through the use of an automated license plate reader system shall not be used by any individual or agency for the purposes other than the enforcement of the compulsory insurance laws otherwise permitted by law.
10
And then
minutes.
drop down to number 1, or shall it, for any purposes not expressly authorized by this section. And since it's not authorized for any other purpose, and there is no other law that I know of in the state of Oklahoma authorizing its use, I think we may potentially have a legal issue. And so this time that's being referred to, not implementing the use of these cameras until we can further investigate it and come up with a policy that has been thoroughly researched,
Concur.
I think it needs to be done. And as I said before, I have a sheet that I want to give and make a matter of record. And I have one for everyone on the council to include, is that this could potentially violate the law. And since we don't have a city attorney and we don't have one that's had time to investigate that, I think we should wait.
2,000 departments across the country have them. 2,000.
Also, I want to make known, as we go forward, any additional documents added to the meeting will not be recognized unless they're in the packet. We need to make sure that we're following that these things are added. Also, as we talk about due process, I entertain exactly what you're doing right now as due process. So due process is for everybody. We put this item aside till tonight so that we could allow you gentlemen the opportunity to look at it, to allow the other council members to look at it. That time has been granted. Tonight's intent is to call for the vote.
Mayor, I think the big thing that we were actually put that time aside for too was to get feedback from our constituents. And I will guarantee you that I had one. And we've had a month and I've had one. And that's the amount of alarm that the citizens that would talk to me or whatever, even, they don't even know about it. I mean, to be honest with you, it was in the newspaper, it was in everywhere, and we just haven't, I mean, they just haven't been kicking our doors down or ringing our phones off trying to get us to go one way or the other. That was just the way it was.
Anybody else have input from their constituents? Terry?
I have had one person that was a businessman in town that told me he was opposed to it, but only because of the fact that he, through his business dealings, does do business dealings in China, and he was concerned about the network cloud, blah, 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 but not necessarily against this. He said, this is for catching bad guys, and I'm for it. I just think that overall, there's cyber security and everything needs to be taken into consideration, but that was the only person that was negative about that at all. And I have one question for the chief of police based on what Councilman Gantier just gave us. And again, this is dealing with uninsured vehicle, uninsured motors and cameras. And I know the intent of your cameras is not, correct me if I'm wrong, is the intent of your cameras not to only work it for traffic and uninsured motorists?
It is
and
not.
traffic, it's to catch bad guys that car
It
tags
reads
have
the
been
license
entered
plate, yes.
in the NCIC that have committed felonies across the country, not to
Correct.
do whether you got uninsured motorists or not,
Correct.
And you also,
It doesn't even have that capability.
or other traffic violations.
Correct.
and you also, they also put the point across that if you had a vehicle of a certain description, certain stickers on the bumper or whatever, if somebody could give that information, then it would actually be able to pick that certain vehicle up, not just with the license tag, but with description of the vehicle.
Correct, descriptors, because, I mean, a lot of times somebody may get partial license
Sure.
plate or something. If
Sure.
there's a crime, you may not see the whole, they're hard to read if you're right behind them, so they may just get a partial, and it'll work like that.
So you could theoretically scan for OK2A stickers on bumper stickers, or on bumpers. 'Cause just throw it out there since.
If that vehicle is,
No, it's
if
not
that
true.
vehicle description is the one that was
They're looking for.
committed
You
that
have to
crime
enter
that
that
they're
for
looking
that.
for, then yes.
Yeah.
You can program those cameras to look at every car going by with a particular sticker. You can even program those cameras to look for a particular dent. Left side,
Well, if that's the description of the vehicle, suspect vehicle, then yes.
I
Well-
believe they're talking about those search capabilities after the fact, not setting the cameras.
no, it's not, exactly, that's what I'm saying. But you can also program those cameras to look beyond the search capability. ACLU explained that very
But
clearly.
before it flags a vehicle, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm asking, before it flags a vehicle, same, Charles is driving down the road, he's got a dent and an OK two-way sticker on the back of his car. If he's not been entered in as a car to go into that algorithm of what it's looking for,
Correct. A detective or an officer would have to sit down, go into the system, enter those descriptors to find, something like that. It's not gonna just pull that up and give it to you.
Who's gonna have the ability to do that?
Prior police officers,
Anybody?
any of the police officers, yeah, but no, it's not open to the public can't get access to
No,
it.
no, no, I'm saying, did you
Who's
have
gonna
a?
have the username and passwords from your department? Every officer?
Every
or just
officer will have it.
administration?
Correct, every officer.
And see, that's why we need a
Including
city ordinance.
dispatchers?
There's no state law here.
There's policy that will be in place when these are, and it will break down. And we can bring that policy back before the council and show what the policy exactly says.
and
With all due respect, Chief, you should not be writing the policy. This council should be writing a city ordinance and passing it.
Agreed.
Putting controls over these cameras.
Our policy and procedure goes through Lexipol, which is a policy and procedure place that does it across the country, that we enter this, they have ALPR systems, policies in place. I mean, that's not.
if that policy would have to be created, yes.
So would the
what's-
policy be created prior
Hang on.
to the implementation?
Hang on a minute, please. The policy is the way that would work is somebody has to create that policy and bring it to the ordinance committee for approval. More than likely, that'll be somebody with some legal capabilities. Likely it'll be somebody who is not one-sided in this ordeal. Then it comes to that committee. Once that committee has it, that committee can approve it, that committee can make recommendations for change, then that committee can submit it to be on to the council. It's not like a bunch of people just sit here and say, well, this is what we want. We create a policy based on the things that are wanted, things that are requested, and I would hope that there's enough faith in this particular administration, meaning me and the 8 of you, that we could make that happen to where it fits the needs of what we need. Nobody's out to get. That isn't happening. But what we need to make sure that we do is that we work together and follow the procedures and allow our process that we have set in place to be the process it is. That's how that works.
Mr. Mayor?
So then what's wrong, Mr. Mayor, with putting the internal controls over these cameras in place before we actually approve the cameras? Back to the original motion. Mr.
Because if we don't
Councilman
approve those
Smith-
cameras, we're not wasting the time or the money on the resources.
I disagree wholeheartedly. You're putting the cart before the horse. We
I-
need to have a city ordinance reviewed and approved by this council before we even consider those cameras.
So we have 1 minute and 43 seconds left. The idea is that we have a motion that would require us to have in place, upon approval of this item, that we would have in place ordinances and read that again. Do you have it?
But I do also have something brief that I want to say before we vote, so please allow me the time.
Then Bruce needs to read it quickly.
I said make a motion to accept the flock camera contract only with an ordinance policy that addresses the sale of data and retention time of non-hit tags. Now, I think all three of us are in agreement with what I'm saying here, and I was trying to hold this down, but it didn't work out evidently.
Mr. Gantier, you have 50 seconds.
The idea is this: we do not live in a democracy, contrary to a lot of people's misunderstanding. We are in a constitutional republic where the rights of the individual are guaranteed protection. This is a constitutional, a skewed poll that was not listing any of the negatives and only the positives is gonna give a certain, result. The problem is, I had an oath to that I would uphold the Constitution, and I cannot approve something that I know violates my constituents' constitutional rights.
Even if we have a ordinance that pertains to restrictions and on it and policy?
If we take care of the constitutional rights part, that's a different story. As it is now, the constitutional rights are not protected, and I cannot go for it.
How many of us, I noticed the gentleman here from, that gave us the speech earlier from the 2A. Okay, what I'm looking at is, he's got his camera going, wonderful thing. I'll give you a short story about your cell phone. My wife and I was asked to go and help a friend of ours bring their dogs in the afternoon. We did this 2 afternoons in a row. The very next day, we started getting advertisements on our phone about dog food. So these are probably doing a heck of a lot more damage than some cameras are going to do.
Sure.
And these aren't catching as many bad guys, but they definitely know what you're doing and what you're thinking about.
We're gonna go ahead and end the discussion.
Sure.
We're a little past.
Mr. Mayor, just out of curiosity, what authority are you citing to limit this discussion to 20 minutes?
Because I have the right to keep the order and maintain. The layout of the meeting is at my discretion. And last time, we spent almost an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes on this topic. We have a lot of items still to cover, and it was my choice to limit this to a 20-minute discussion. And so that said, respectfully, we're going to go ahead and call for the vote.
So what are we voting on?
We're voting on approving this with accepting the contract with the ordinance or policy that addresses the sale of data and retention of time on non-hit tags.
For clarification, does the cameras have to be done after this is taken care of? I want to make sure I understand what we're voting on. Or are we going to approve the cameras with this to come later? That I don't know.
This is approving the line item with the terms
That's not the
as
intent,
stated.
is it?
The intent was that both of them go together. We approve the contract, we also get an ordinance, and then they both go together when we got them together. It'll all be pretty simple, pretty easy, I think.
So you're saying, Bruce, we need to delay approving the cameras themselves until we actually have a
Until
written
we
That
have
ordinance?
that is not what the motion states.
Okay.
The motion states approving it with those terms.
Right.
So that's what you can vote on.
For the vote.
Call for the vote.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Nance.
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Trammell.
No.
Gantier.
No.
Smith.
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number F, discussion and possible action regarding mayor to sign a letter authorizing the release of earnest money deposits from Mays County Abstract Company to Land Hogs LLC and Hawkins Family Limited Partnership in the amount of $20,000. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Choya. Discussion.
I actually have a question on that. I have a question on this. Can we approve this since it's on Kim Ritchie's letterhead and he has to sign it and he's no longer the city attorney?
Yes,
Excuse me
we
for
can.
just one moment. Can we have just a little bit more quiet in here, please? Go ahead.
Yes, we can. We can because that was counsel given to us prior to his resignation. That is also my requesting Mays County Abstract to release that money to them. Mr. Ritchie just typed up the letter. Also, this is the last share of that money that previous administration had contracted with direction of Mr. Ritchie. The Hawkins family and Land Hogs has been very patient, and I would like to get this wrapped up for them as well as we did the other two.
I don't understand why we should pay when we were earnestly assured that there was no risk to the city.
Because, Mr. Gantier, The agreement that previous administration signed contractually put us in that bind. The right and legal thing is that we give them back the money that the previous administration agreed to give them. The Hawkins Family Trust Limited Partnership and Land Hogs did not do the city wrong or ill in doing this. And I feel very firm that the right thing to do is to honor the contract that was signed for them. And I am requesting that $20,000 be released to them. I did not create this situation, but by God, I will clean it up.
We're under contractual agreement to do that.
Yes.
I thought on one of those agreements, it said that we weren't gonna have to do that on the contract itself.
What it said was that the money was put up in earnest, and that if the land wasn't bought, that the landowners would get the earnest money and that Mr. Bloom would repay us. So it's our responsibility now to get the money from Mr. Bloom. That's how that works.
And last meeting, we had the same issue come up with the other two property owners. If I am not mistaken, we all agreed to pay them, so I don't know why you're holding out and not wanting to pay this folks.
This is just the last element of that contractual agreement. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Nance?
Yes.
Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Gantier?
Abstain.
Smith?
Yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes.
Thank you. Item G, discussion and possible action regarding accepting bid from Wade's Heavy Haul and Demolition in the amount of $1,497.50 for the demolition of property at 307 North Maze, owned by Samuel A. Collette Sr. and Adele P. Collette from nuisance abatement account 4646554450. Other bid received, all-terrain demolition and excavation, $2,900. Do I have a motion?
Motion. I'll second then.
Motion
Who
from
said
Chit-
motion first?
Motion from Chitwood, I'm sorry.
I saw the point.
I'm telling
It
you.
was close.
It was a tie.
It's a tie.
Okay, motion from Choya, second from Chitwood.
Yeah.
You guys do that to me every meeting. I'm all tied up here.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
question to kind of clarify things. Is it out of line to ask them to amend it to go ahead and include item H in this too, since the price is the same from the same demolition company, but add that the property next to it at 313 North Maze be added also into the same motion?
My concern with that is as we go through the abatement process, I did these homes before being in mayor. They were, in every aspect of our dealings with them, they were handled as two separate properties. And so at this point, we want to continue because they are filed as separate. I don't know if that helps clarify. The price is significantly small because the homes are kind of halfway torn down.
Okay.
They got in and kind of knocked down a wall. And
Disrepair.
Okay.
yeah, so,
Very bad.
we need to get that cleaned up. And so, no, that's a good question. I appreciate that. But yes, they'll need to remain separate. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Gantier?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes.
Nance?
Yes.
Okay. Item H, discussion and possible action regarding accepting a bid from Wade's Heavy Haul and Demolition in the amount of $1,497.50 for the demolition of property at 310 North Maze owned by Samuel A. Collette Sr. and Adele P. Collette from nuisance abatement account 464655450. Other bids received, all-terrain demolition and excavation for $2,900. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Chitwood.
Second.
Second from Nance.
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
You accidentally said 310, it's 313.
I apologize. 313 North Maze. Thank you for catching that, Mr. Gantier. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Gantier?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes.
Nance?
Yes.
Malure?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item I, discussion and possibly authorize mayor to sign an agreement between Rosenstein, Fist, and Ringgold and the city of Pryor Creek for legal services. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Nance,
I'll second.
second from Mr. Choya.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a problem here. And it's nothing with Rosenstein, Fist, and Ringgold, the firm itself. I have no problem with them. However, I would like to remove this item from the agenda, and we and the city of Pryor go out to the Mays County Bar Association asking if there are any local attorneys who would be interested in representing the city of Pryor as our attorney. The reason I'm doing that is, for as long as I can remember, this council has begged its citizens to buy locally, to purchase locally. And in fact, we even have an item on the addendum tonight to buy, what is it called? Weekend of Local, where we're wanting to boost up local businesses. So in an effort to set the example, I would like to see the city and this council at least attempt to obtain its services using local providers.
Okay. Well, I respect that.
So that's my motion.
Can I add something in there?
Yes, please.
I'm pulling up the code really quick, but in code, it does state that legal services and a few other things are excluded from bidding procedures.
I'm not asking for the bid, I'm asking for interest.
So my direction in this is not to ignore local. I think you'll find that I support local quite fondly. We just had a grand event this last weekend that showed some support for our community that was local, and it's very, very productive. We are going to read a resolution. Right? No, that's not what it's called. What is that called? Proclamation. Thank you, proclamation. That we support that, and I'm specifically putting my name on that because I fully support that proclamation. The problem is that, and I've heard this council specifically, one side and another side both talk about subject matter experts. Okay. We also had a conversation earlier tonight about situations that our city has been put into, given legal counsel that was not subject matter experts in municipal law. And I think as we look at those attorneys that we have in town, we have a wonderful selection of talent. We also employ many of them already as judges, as prosecutors, some that have been city attorneys or have represented the city in the past, and they've done a great job. My direction is to go with Rosenstein, Fist, and Ringgold, specifically Mr. Wade. Eric, if you could stand up. We've had several conversations. We've been in contact since the beginning of May. May 10th, I believe, was the first day that we spoke. And I feel very confident in them to represent us in the things that we have currently on the table. Things that, and we've discussed some of those lawsuits that we have pending. We're not going into those lawsuits tonight. That's not the intent of that comment. But the idea is that I am seeking subject matter expert. We also have in your packet, you have the letter of intent that describes how they plan to care for our agreement with the city in terms of payment. You can also see those numbers that are listed in their payment scale. What page is that on the agenda there, Randy? Do you have it?
143,
Page 143 of your packet, it has their, and Eric, if you don't mind coming up here for a second, that has their pay scale. And basically, we pay for what we use. And you correct me the minute I'm wrong, pay for what we use. Also, those rates are much cheaper than we've been paying our local attorney that got us in some situations that we're in. And so going forward, my due process, that is to protect the city, the assets of the city, the council, the employees, and everything interested that this legal representation can do, was to go with the subject matter experts that have a very appropriate cost. And after discussing with Mr. Wade those needs that we have, as mayor, the elected official, I feel confident that he can properly represent us in the matters that we have at hand.
Have you had any of the attorneys in town give any interest in performing this duty?
I have not had any local attorneys.
Have they been asked?
Have I asked?
Have you asked local attorneys if they'd like to have this job?
I started on recommendations. The recommendations that I got from other municipalities and who they
I've heard
used.
some too that didn't.
Okay, let me answer. I got recommendations from several municipalities, from school board members, from other entities that use law and council, and many of them, if not all of them, recommended RFR to represent us. So I began my research on that, and I was very pleased with what I found. I made that decision that that's who I would like to go with.
I have a question.
You know, I did ask, I'm sorry.
Travis?
What cities do you represent currently?
Yeah, I'm the lead city attorney for the city of Catoosa. I've done that since sometime in early 2013. City of Glenpool, which I've done for a couple of years. And then I also work with the town of Butler and the town of Verdigris.
Okay, thanks.
And then my law firm, I don't want to omit some of the more significant municipalities that we represent. My partner, Brian Drummond, is lead city attorney for the city of Claremore, the city of Cleveland, Westport, Caddo. Honestly, I would not be able to recall all of the small towns and municipalities that he serves as city attorney for. And then we have 16 lawyers in the office who support our efforts. We have subject matter experts, for example, in real estate. And so if you have issues like that, we're able to funnel those to an appropriate person with the expertise and the experience needed to appropriately advise the city.
Okay.
And again, sir, my objection is not to your law firm. My objection is to the fact that we did not even attempt as a city to go out and seek interest from local attorneys and whether they would be willing to provide legal representation on behalf of the city of Pryor. And to answer the question, I did ask, and there is at least one local attorney who I believe has the subject matter expertise, who is very, very interested in doing this.
I actually,
I think again, I'm not saying anything bad about your law firm. I think it's incumbent on us to try to reach out to our local attorneys and provide them the same opportunity that you were provided to come in and see if they wanted to represent us. Not with a quote, I don't want to violate the city ordinance, but definitely let's at least do an exploratory event here to see if we can't find someone on the Mays that's with the Mays County Bar Association.
Could I ask a question, Mayor? You represent the Pryor School Board,
Yes, sir.
and if you represent us and we have a conflict, which could very well happen, which would probably deal with land or money, where are we at now? You're representing both parties. How would that work?
That's a good question. That does come up from time to time because there are a lot of school districts that we represent. And we also represent Northeast Technology Center and have for decades, and I know they have a presence here as well. Oftentimes what we find is our clients, for example, in this case, perhaps the city of Pryor and Pryor Public Schools, have some sort of business deal that they need to work out. They work out the terms of that business deal between themselves, and then they ask if we can document it with appropriate paperwork that discloses to each party that we represent the other and that we're not acting in the interests of either client adverse to the other. Then that deal, that paperwork can be done. If there is an actual conflict of interest between our clients, then we would not represent either one of them in the matter.
Are you planning, or have you been asked, or what is the plan of, are you going to attend to every council meeting we have?
Yes, sir, that would be the plan. Now, there are, of course, times where there are scheduling conflicts, and in those situations, there would be an associate attorney in my office. In this instance, the attorney who goes to the city of Glenpool meetings would stand in for me when and if I'm not able to be here.
And your firm charges for your time and travel to come over here for every meeting?
That's correct.
Do you charge for a phone call? Do you
Yes, sir.
charge for a fax? Do you charge everything we do, is there charge for it?
Generally speaking, if there's time involved, my time or the time of another professional staff member of the firm, then it is charged. We bill in tenth of an hour increments, so 6-minute increments, which is pretty much the lowest amount that you can work with as a practical matter.
Well, I have no objection to your law firm at all, but in my opinion, where it's worth, if we use a local attorney, we'll be able to ask him questions, we'll be able to go by and talk to him and not be charged for it. And you're gonna charge for mileage
So,
too also.
Bruce, I appreciate that, I really do, but I want to be very clear that every phone call, sorry, apparently that was 20 minutes. Every phone call that we made to Mr. Ritchie, every email that he sent, every fax that he sent over, we were billed for. Every time a city council member went to ask him something, we were billed tremendously for. Every time a department head said, hey, how does this work? We were billed for. There was no free services.
He's gone.
Right.
Let's try a new one.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I understand shopping local, but I also see an advantage of not using an attorney local. And I'm not accusing anybody of doing this before, but when it's just a straight legal response and there's no relationships there at all, you didn't go to school with someone years ago. I like that.
I understand exactly what Councilman Nance said, and I was 100% behind this, and I had, I think, 3 people ask me some questions or give me comments specific to the firm that could be just totally bogus, but I haven't had a chance to even look at it because it just happened in the last couple of days. And so, I was 100% behind this, and now I'm like, okay, this was brought to my attention, and I haven't even looked at it. So I'm feeling a little awkward, not from anything you've said, done, or anything that I know. And the accusations could be totally off base.
Are you referencing a letter to the editor?
Sir?
Are you referencing a letter to the editor that was put out?
No, this was people that have called me and talked to me about this. That was individuals speaking directly to me, that I didn't solicit. It came to me. And so now I'm like, I still don't know anything for sure, concrete, that there's a problem. But I'm wondering, am I gonna be doing my due diligence? Since it was brought to my attention, I haven't had a chance to look at it. And like I said, it just came to me.
Chris, I've seen the letter to the editor that they're referring to too, and I'm sure you probably have too, but if you've got questions about concerns, how are you gonna, and I'm with you, because I wanna know too, how are you gonna investigate them without talking to the people and finding out that are involved?
Yeah, both sides.
Like the gentleman
I
here.
mean, I've heard from, that there's a couple of cities that, because there were problems and this stuff, and it could be totally bogus stuff. I mean.
So one of the points that I want to make, and naturally, I'm sorry, I'm going to defend my decision here. I'm going to ask you some questions. You ready for trivia time? How long has your firm been in business?
The firm was started in 1913, so not by me, obviously, at least I hope that's clear.
You age well. How many attorneys have been employed there roughly since 1913?
Oh, I wouldn't
How many
know.
cases? What I'm getting at is there's going to be cases that are out there. I would hope that should we be in a situation where things don't look too bright for us, like some of those letters from that editor that Mr. Lamar references, that our representation would be there to represent us. And that's why we hire legal representation. So,
Mr. Mayor, you've got us befuddled because a bunch of us have no clue what you're talking about.
well, then that's probably a good thing.
Because I don't even know what
That way you're unbiased.
Yes, stay biased, but the idea is that there's always gonna be things that we hear about law firms. And if we're looking at a firm, Mr. Ritchie had a firm. All of the local attorneys have firms. It is what it is. The idea is we decide to postpone this. My question to the council is, how many other things of business are we going to postpone? Because I have heard from many of you personally that, man, if we don't have an attorney, we're pulling those items off the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith.
we've got an assistant city attorney that can serve. So 16C-2, I've given it to the city clerk, I've given it to you, It's law, it's a city law, and we've got an attorney that can serve until we make a decision.
Is that in the city code book?
Yes.
That attorney's job duty is our city prosecutor.
Do you know the difference between a prosecutor, defense, judge? They're all attorneys.
I agree with you.
Okay, there's no reason that he can't be. I've asked attorneys, and they said, yes, he can serve. He is in by the code. He is there to be if the attorney can't be. That's his job. He is the prosecutor, I agree. Doesn't mean he can't be both until we get somebody else hired.
He's also over MUB too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's MUB attorney.
He does represent MUB.
And I believe has his own private practice.
So, you know, again, as Courtney said, the charter and the code is written such that the decision doesn't need to be bid out. The decision doesn't need to be more than approved by you guys. As the mayor is the one accountable for those things that we're should go into battle for, my recommendation is that this is the firm that I've chosen to use.
And I reemphasize my motion for I'll make the formal motion. I emphasize my motion that we strike this or table this until we at least go out and give local attorneys the opportunity to see if they are interested. And Dennis, to your point, I get it. Yeah, you're right. But there is also a benefit of having a local attorney represent that the city that they live in and that they work in, they have a vested interest, a much more vested interest beyond a financial interest.
I don't think, if we show
Again, no
leadership that we should, then we won't do this proclamation if you hire an outside attorney.
Gentlemen.
Because the city
Courtney would
has
like-
just led.
Hey, Courtney would like to speak, please.
Just to let you guys know, I already have a list, and we have not had an attorney for less than 5 days. I have a list for whoever our new attorney is. So having one now would be really awesome, because I need help.
All right, just for point of clarification, there was a motion and second on the table. What is that? And then if that's the case, if he's making a motion to table it, what's our procedure here?
We have a motion and second to approve this, so the original people, Nance and Shropshire, would need to amend their motion
To table it.
to table. Currently, it's to approve.
And once you table it, unless you put a time on it, it has to be brought back up by next council meeting.
Yes, at next council meeting.
Then
You want to make a motion to table? And keep your motion? Okay.
Okay, so the motion and second is to approve.
And the motion stands.
He hadn't changed it, I hadn't either.
For the record, I have stated months ago that I think we need a local attorney, and I'm still sticking by that on my vote when we get to that point.
One thing that's concerning to me right now, and this is a general statement, it seems like there's a significant number of people on council that has some concerns. Sometimes if you ram things through and don't give them a chance to address their concerns, it creates a problem that 2 weeks from now they may be okay with. It's just a thought that I want to put out there. It may not make a difference, but ramming it through may create other problems potentially.
What
Well,
problems? sir?
Chris, I know how I'm gonna vote, and I know that you brought this up before, you're bringing up ramifications, you're bringing up stuff about not giving us enough time to study. If you got questions that somebody has brought to your attention, there's the man right there to answer them.
Well, I mean,
I don't know how you're gonna find out the answer if you don't go to the source.
but I hate to do it in a public forum when it may be totally bogus and make them look stupid. To me, that would be.
That's not gonna happen.
Mr. Wade.
But, you know, if you throw things out there that could be totally.
Why don't we go ahead?
What was the motion? I've already
Mr.
forgot.
Mayor,
I will,
Hang on a minute, please. The motion at this point stands. I've asked Mr. Wade if he'd be willing to answer questions. His response was if he can. I'd like to bring a little bit of civility back to what we're doing. I understand that there's passion on one side and passion on the other, but we have to maintain some civility in our responses to one another.
do you want it? You want a table?
2 councils ago, we had a discussion about me providing information on people to you guys. I think everybody in front of them has a compromise, a bio. That's what the council asked for. I gave you a bio. I also said that I would put the individuals in front of you. He is right here in front of you.
And I am very appreciative of that, Mr. Mayor.
You kept your word, you did what you said.
That's what
and
I
I'm gonna
do.
vote against him because he needs to be a city attorney in Pryor, not out of town. That'll be about as plain as I can get.
Okay,
Call for vote.
we will call for the vote. Motion stands.
So remind us what we're voting on again.
We are voting to approve this.
For me to sign the
There's
agreement.
been no amended motions.
Okay. Thank you.
Trammell,
No.
Gantier,
Abstain.
Smith,
No.
Lamar,
No.
Shropshire,
Abstain.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
No.
Abstain.
Chitwood,
Okay. Item J, discussion and possible action to approve Pryor High School Pom Squad renting Graham Community Building July 13th through July 16th for their rummage sale fundraiser. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll make a second.
I have a motion by Chitwood, a second by Choya.
I have a question. Is this to waive the fees for them?
This is not, per policy, if they rent it for more than 2 days, we have to have council approval.
Okay, but we can waive it?
It's not mentioned in the
They haven't asked.
Don't know when you
so
make
we
money.
wouldn't be able to.
They're not seeking,
Correct, they're not seeking that, they're
Just
just
a 2-day rental.
wanting permission to
Okay.
rent it.
What is the standard rental on that, please?
3 days.
Like price,
Yes,
$50,
a day?
and, well, for the first day, and then each additional day is $10
Okay.
Okay,
with a $50 deposit.
okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Call for the vote, Mr. Mayor.
1 second. Nance, were you the one that seconded that motion?
This one? No.
I did.
Okay, thank you.
further discussion? Call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Okay. Item 6, City Attorney's Report. Item A, possible approval of an ordinance amending 1-6-2 compensation. Salaries for elected police chief, mayor, clerk, and treasurer have been updated to reflect current payroll. This update removes mention of mayor's position from cost of living increases. This does not remove any other position eligibility for cost of living adjustment increases. The second reading was waived at the last council meeting, but was not approved. We will be, motion to waive the reading.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
We already waived the reading, we're having just the approval on this.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Who made motions?
I'll make a motion, we approve this ordinance.
Okay, motion from Gantier,
Second.
second from Choya. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Item B, possible approval of an ordinance amending 1-6-5 Personnel Board, redesigning the construct of the Personnel Board. Second reading was waived at the last council meeting, but was not approved.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion from Gantier, second from Mr. Smith. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Let's go to the addendum, item number 1. Discussion and possible action to approve the mayor signing a proclamation declaring July 14th through the 16th, 2023 Weekend of Local.
Make the motion.
Motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Gantier. Discussion? I'll read such proclamation. Whereas the city of Pryor celebrates its local small businesses and the contribution they make to our local economy and community, and whereas the city of Pryor recognizes its local businesses for creating jobs, boosting our local economy and making our community a better place to shop, eat, and play. And whereas throughout the years, independent retailers and restaurants have played a key role in the revitalization of our neighborhoods and significantly contributed to our city's economic growth, adding value and character to our community, even when faced with hardships. And whereas small businesses in the city of Pryor have recently faced unprecedented challenges, making important sacrifices to keep our community safe while consistently innovating to continue serving our residents. And whereas small businesses in the city of Pryor need community support to ensure they can continue to be a part of our business community in the years to come. And whereas advocacy groups in our community, as well as public and private organizations throughout Oklahoma, have endorsed July 14th through the 16th as Weekend of Local. Now therefore, I, Zach Doyle, Mayor of the City of Pryor, hereby proclaim July 14th through 16th, 2023 as Weekend of Local in the City of Pryor, and urge residents of our community to shop local, eat local, and support our local businesses and merchants this weekend and throughout the year. Signed, Mayor Doyle. Do we have discussion? Call for the vote?
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 2 on the addendum, discussion and possible action to approve the mayor signing a proclamation recognizing Doris McMahon on the occasion of her birthday and 47th work anniversary.
Motion.
I have a motion from Choya, second from Mr. Gantier. Discussion? I'll read. Proclamation on the occasion of her birthday and 47th anniversary. Doris McMahon, whereas we are here today to express special recognition to Doris McMahon and to honor her for her distinguished 47-year career with RCB Bank. And whereas Doris began her career September 15th, 1976, as a bookkeeper working through various positions until becoming a teller. And whereas Doris has proven herself to be a vulnerable asset to RCB Bank and the community with a vast knowledge of the banking industry. And whereas Doris has worked consistently for the betterment of RCB Bank and the community. And whereas RCB Bank wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Doris for her dedication to the outstanding performance of her duties during her tenure. And whereas this proclamation is presented to Doris to serve as a reminder that she is considered a valued employee dedicated to both her position and our community. Now therefore, I, Zach Doyle, Mayor of City of Pryor, do hereby present this proclamation to Doris as a testimonial to the faithful and dedicated services which she has performed for the past 47 years, and with our best wishes for continued success and happiness in the future. Signed, Mayor Zach Doyle. This is her 80th birthday as well.
Wow.
So, discussion? Call for the vote.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Item 3, discussion and possible action regarding the surplus of city property identified as approximately 6 acres described as the west 396 feet of the west quarter of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 9, Township 21, North, Range 20 East, Mays County, and list for sale at $36,000. Listing price is determined by market value recommendations of $6,000 per acre as per 4 local realtors. I'll add that last little part in there. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Choya. Do we have discussion?
Question, Mayor.
Of course.
Is this gonna be sold by bid or just sold by, how are we gonna sell it?
Well, right now, we're just discussing the surplus of it. The next item will discuss what we do with it. So if we have
I
discussion.
thought it said 6,000 acre in it.
Discussion and possible action regarding the surplus. Right now, we're just discussing surplusing that property. We do not surplus it, we cannot do anything with it.
But it also has a
It's
price
listing it
listed.
for sale in the thing.
Right, because when we list something for sale, or we list something for surplus, we have to note what it is we're going to do with it. So right now, just as when Buddy surpluses a truck, he has to tell us where it's going. I'm telling you what we're looking to do with it.
Is this a minimum amount?
This is a recommendation.
If we declare, if the purpose of this is to declare it surplus, you're already listing it as for sale at a certain price. Shouldn't that be discussed by the, in the next section about allowing the EDTA to market and negotiate the property, where you're already pre-designating what it's gonna sell for? All we're doing is declaring it surplus at this point.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, I did have it separated originally.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion then to amend item number 3 to remove the listing?
I'll amend my motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, let you finish, I'm sorry.
I love the energy. You guys are so ready to go on to things.
I'm hungry.
Well, me too. Been here since 8 o'clock. List price for 36,000, listing price determined by market value recommendation 6,000 per acre would be removed. Do I have an amendment to that motion?
I will amend my motion.
I'll amend my second.
Amended by Chitwood, amended second by Choya. Discussion. Call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance.
Yes.
Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding allowing the Economic Development Trust Authority to market and negotiate city property identified as approximately 6 acres, described as the west 396 feet of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 9, Township 21, Range 20, East Mays County, pending council approval of the surplus and placing the above referenced property for sale. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
A motion from Chitwood, second
Second
from
again.
Choya.
Yeah.
Discussion,
I got a couple of questions.
okay?
I'm assuming that once they come up with a solid offer, that would come back to us, correct?
Correct.
Have we determined at this point what we would be using the proceeds from the sale for, or is that something we would discuss later?
It is my intent that the proceeds of that sale go into our reserve.
Doesn't that go into,
The unallocated reserve?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We need to work on that reserve. It's,
the way this reads, though, the whole action goes over to the EDTA. It doesn't go to us. EDTA determines.
Adam, would you please step up?
You guys gonna be nice to me?
Yeah, I'll try.
They can make promises.
I wanna be last on the agenda. It would be handled just like we discussed with the police station. Those funds would not come to the EDTA. We would handle the negotiation and
The sale.
development of a package and a sale, and then bring that to the city council, and then you guys would direct where those funds would go.
Right, but we wouldn't have to vote on the okay to sell it or not. That would be your department.
No, we would put the deal together,
Right.
and then we would bring it back for the final approval.
Okay,
To
okay.
the council.
He
Just
just
Adam,
put it on
my
the list.
question,
Or the police station.
my
Yes, sir.
question, I agree with what the mayor said on 6,000, but could it be more than that? Could we put 6,000 as a minimum bid if you're gonna bid it and get what offers you get and see?
I would not put a minimum, and I would let the EDTA work with realtors or developers to set that price, and then we will come back with what that is. If you have a minimum, in my opinion, that tells everybody what you will accept, and nobody's gonna bid more than that.
Well, I've still got a problem, 6,000, I think that's, the tax base on it's 48,000 for 5 acres, so 6,000 is cheap enough, it's a bargain, but I'm just trying to get more money is what I'm trying to figure out.
So what we're voting on right now is to allow the EDTA to make those decisions. And that's the design and construct of the EDTA.
Correct.
Is that we allow them to do that. We put our trust in that, that commission that was put together to do that for us. And so they have to come back with what they come up with. That's when you guys get to approve or disapprove what they do.
Any other questions for me?
Okay. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 5, follow-up report from the EDTA regarding Freedom Fest. Adam, thank you for being very patient tonight.
And we'll be nice, Adam, we'll be nice.
We're going to end on a good note.
We are.
And this is,
So-
mind you, this is a follow-up report, so Adam gets to report to us when we listen.
So for Freedom Fest, first thing I want to do is I want you guys to recognize and be known that the partnership that made this happen was between the City of Pryor, the EDTA, Pryor Main Street, the Chamber of Commerce, and Mays County Hope. All of those groups came together in a very short amount of time. I mean, our first meeting on this was not until May. And what we did was we found funding for a $25,000 fireworks show. We had 25 sponsors. 60% of that funding was for amounts $500 and less. So those were small businesses, small organizations reaching into their budgets at the end of a year, fiscal year for most of them, and pulling money out to donate for the city to have this event. TSET Healthy Living, when we started talking about having, I don't know what's happening with my voice, when we started talking about having a full-fledged event starting at 3, TSET came out and said we will donate $1,000 to the soccer club to rent bounce houses. So those bounce houses didn't have a cost with them either for the soccer club. As we continued to grow, Mays County Soccer, the Street Department, Parks Department, Rotary Club, Golf Course, Mays County Emergency Management, Pryor Police Department, Fire Department, GRDA, MUB, Pryor Waste and Recycling, PIP, the paper, Pryor Public Schools, Project 360, and Big Electric, among others, all stepped up sometimes at the last minute. You know, Big Electric, we called him. Well, it was actually when he brought the truck out there, we said, oh, we need some extension cords. He came back with all the extension cords we could need. Project 360 was a recovery group. They knew we needed some help with parking as it got later in the evening. They showed up, they parked all the cars. Meredith with Main Street, she dealt with us asking for constant flyers, constant updates. We kind of had a running joke. She would get us a new flyer with all of the sponsors' logos on there, and she'd send it, and I'd send back an email saying, okay, can you add this one? So the quicker she could get us a flyer, the quicker we could get another sponsor. She also, we kind of last minute put a t-shirt together and went from design to printed in about 72 hours and delivered to us. So she really, really was a big help. Day of the event, almost every aspect of the day went off without a hitch, minus some early morning rains. The fireworks show lasted for 27 minutes and began and ended with a finale level fireworks. I believe it was 400 rounds that were shot off at the ending of the national anthem. Vendors were happy. They reported back. They're ready to come back. Those in attendance were happy and ready to come back. As far as attendance, bounce house, we estimated over 200 children were on those bounce houses throughout the day. The fireworks show, there were 400 cars in the parking lot, between 3 and 4 people in each car, so that's 1,600 people approximately. For the show, another 50 cars with 150 to 200 people were watching from the roads around the soccer complex. And then an untold number were watching from city streets, parking lots, and from homes around town. Enjoying the event and leaving and watching from home, we estimated that another 50 families, again, 150 to 200 people, came to enjoy the event during the day and then reported as they were leaving when they were asked, hey, where are you going? The fireworks are about to start. Oh, we're going to go home and watch it from there. We wanted to come out here, see the vendors, have the bounce houses, and then leave. Social media, our metrics on that showed that over 74,000 points of contact during that event, 38,000 impressions, and over 2,000 reactions. And there were 0 negative thumbs down or unhappy faces. All of them were surprised, thumbs up, excited. Why did we do this? For the citizens of Pryor. and to keep tax dollars in town. Most of those that stayed in Pryor spent money here. You know, they went to Homeland, they went to Walmart, and they bought hamburger or whatever, and grilled at home, and spent time downtown shopping instead of driving to another town. Claremore, I believe, had their show the same night. So that was, you know, we're talking a couple thousand people just in the immediate area of the soccer fields that stayed in town. In closing, please remember to thank the sponsors when you see them, and the organizing entities. You have a list of them in your packet, for their hard work and dedication to Pryor. And the next time someone asks you what an organization does, whether it's the Chamber, EDTA, Main Street, MUB, you know, tell them they do these kind of organizations. They come together, they unify the city, and they have a fireworks show that we haven't had in 8 years, I believe. But again, this couldn't have happened without the partnerships working together with the city of Pryor, the EDTA, Main Street, the Chamber, and Mays County Hope. So thank you, guys. If you have any questions, be happy
Great
to
show.
try to answer.
Thank you, and thank everybody.
I do have a
Thank
quick-
you and everybody who participated. There's a city to the north of us had a real good fireworks show, I heard, but I was also told ours was better.
Good.
Quick observation, I was feeling poorly that day, so I was late arriving. I think your numbers are low on the people around other streets that were watching, because when I came through, they were stacking up, and there was a lot of people that were watching that event.
Good. There were 9,000 people in Pryor,
Right.
roughly, just under 10,
Roughly.
I think.
So conversation
9,500 watched.
this morning with our fire chief, he made the note that by holding our event here, the numbers will probably be even greater because those people that stayed in town for our show stayed in town for the weekend and probably also attended Salina's show. So we kept the money in Mays County for the weekend. So, you know, maybe not all of it went to us, but I've talked with Courtney about a couple weeks from now, looking at the tax numbers and seeing if we do see an upward trend that came from that weekend.
And I will add, there was some coordination between mayor and Salina about when the shows were going to be. So we didn't just jump out, not even thinking about what was going on with our neighbors. There was even coordination among those groups.
I believe it was a really good event.
Oh, it was a success. Good.
It was great.
A lot of work.
Thank
Thank
you.
all those people that helped.
All right, item 7, committee reports. Item A, budget and personnel.
July 11th.
Okay. Item B, ordinance and insurance.
I know there's been some discussion on some things. I guess we need to probably set a meeting to review some of these things that have been brought up. I will find out when we have a time available and let everybody know.
Really won't make a difference if we don't have a lawyer.
Item C. We'll set that time, Chris.
Yeah.
Item C, street department.
Yeah, just the routine meeting,
Okay.
no change.
All right. Item 8, unforeseeable business. Don't believe that we have any. Item 9,
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier to adjourn, second from Chitwood to adjourn. Please call for the vote.
You gotta give me time to write first.
Sorry.
Okay. Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
This time we will enter into the Pryor Public Works Authority. We'll call the meeting to order. Item number 2, approve the minutes of the May 16th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Gantier and a second from Nance. We have discussion. Call for the vote.
One second. Yeah, we need to amend the motion to make the date June, not May.
Okay.
Make that amendment to my motion.
Same.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, now, Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Okay. Item 3, approve an expenditure of $4,000 to Grand Gateway Economic Development Association for the annual membership for fiscal year 2024 from Pryor Public Works Authority dues, Grand Gateway account 88-885-5349. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier and a second from Chitwood. Do we have discussion?
Point of observation,
Thank you.
we need to get it changed to where our current mayor is our representative for this. I'd like to see that on the next agenda if possible, please. Thank you.
It can be in the works.
Thank you. It's noted. Appreciate that. Further discussion? Then we'll call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Okay. Item 4, unforeseeable business. We have none. We will go on to item number 5.
Motion.
And I have a motion to adjourn from Nance and a second from Gantier. When you are ready, call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Ta-da.
Got it?
They'll love it.
That was the last one we voted on.